Guys, listen up. As you get older, the best way to continue to look young, exuberant, and vibrant is to continue to take care of your skin. That's why I'm excited to have Teej Hanley as the sponsor of today's video. You heard me talk about them before, and you're going to continue to hear me talk about them because I believe in their products and the positive impact that they have on every man's life. Teej Hanley makes taking care of your skin so easy. They provide you with all the products you need and nothing that you don't. Every box comes with an instruction card that tells you when to use each product, how much to use, and in what order. Lapeef family, I must admit, skincare wasn't always something I always focused on, but since I started using this system, I've seen improvements in the way my skin looks and feels. And you don't have to take my word for it. They have over 5,000 5-star reviews on their website from satisfied customers from around the world. I recommend you start with the level 1 system, which comes with all the basics: a daily face wash, an exfoliating scrub, an AM moisturizer, and a PM moisturizer. In addition to amazing skin, members of Teej Hanley get tons of benefits, including at least 20% off retail price, the ability to customize your box, pause or cancel at any time, and free US shipping. And because Teej Hanley is sponsoring today's video, they're offering my viewers a great deal. Just click that first link in the description and you'll get 30% off your first box plus the free gift. Seriously, that's an amazing deal. Even though it's too early, as I often say, it's never too late. Click that link and get started today. It's too early, but that's okay. My gym workout was phenomenal. Before I went home, I decided to stop over at my mother's house. I haven't seen my mother in 2 months. I know she's going to be very surprised to see me. I can't wait. What the? I couldn't believe what I was seeing. The first thing I noticed was this person's skin. What is going on? Uncomplicated, untreated skin? Who is this guy? I had to take a step back, but then I realized it was my brother. But look at his skin. Have you guys ever seen anything like that? I had to take a closer look and figure out what was going on. Best believe I crept up on him. Peep this. I'm still looking at his skin, trying to figure out, how did we get here? I could do nothing but shake my head. He could definitely use my help. I had to get to the bottom of this. He definitely needed some game about his skin. I'm just staring at it, like looking at it. Come on, bro. I knew what to do. I had to reach in my bag and get that Tiege Hanley. Uncomplicated skincare for men. Bro, this is why I'm excited to have Tiege Hanley as a sponsor of today's video. They have helped me start and maintain my skincare routine by making the entire process uncomplicated. Honestly, it's the best skincare system for guys like you and me. I recommend you start with their level 1 system, which comes with all the basics. A daily face wash to get rid of the dirt and the grime on your skin, a 2 times per week exfoliating scrub to get rid of the dead skin cells, an AM moisturizer with SPF 20 because you should always be protecting your skin from the sun, and a PM moisturizer to help your skin stay hydrated and healthy throughout the night. My brother was so excited. My favorite part about Tiege Hanley is that every box comes with an instruction card that tells you when to use each product, how much to use, and in what order. They really make the process of achieving and maintaining amazing skin easy. Shout out to Tiege Hanley. And because Tiege Hanley is sponsoring today's video, they're offering my viewers a great deal. Just click the first link in the description, and not only will you get Tiege Hanley for the best possible price, but they'll also give you a free gift with your first box. Click that link and get started today for just $30. Feel the Tiege. Let the Tiege force be with you. Go time. Going on, family? Welcome to King Talk on the Lapeef Network. Let me go ahead and introduce the crew. We got Marcus White, Trigger Mike, Shannon Rawls, Clout Jones, Taking the Basement, Louise, Trey Smooth, and myself on Lapeef. Hey, y'all, welcome to King Talk on the Lapeef Network. What's going on, family? What's going on? How y'all doing?
Sup?
What's going on, fellas? How y'all doing this evening or tonight?
Doing good over here.
You know, somebody that's not doing good, them damn Bears. Pink.
It's rough living right now, man. You getting your wish though. You say you want to keep on losing.
No, that's the public, man. That's what's supposed to be.
My bad. That's my fault. My fault.
Gotta learn how to keep conversations private. But yeah, I mean, it's not a bad look. I mean, we get some picks after the deal. I didn't really think it was gonna go too far anyway. So, nevertheless, welcome to King Talk. Let's make sure we hit that like button. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Shout out to the sponsor again, Tiege Hanley. Uncomplicated skincare for men, 30% off along with a free gift. That link is in the description. Feel the Tiege, as I always say. Shout out to all my green gang is in the chat. I see Rashawn Ali is in the chat. So he's looking forward to this topic. I had a few people reach out, say they're looking forward to this topic. I think it's great. And what better way than to have King Talk to go ahead and break it down and get those perspectives in there. But before we get to the main topic, we're going to go ahead and kick it off with this topic right here. First topic of the night is, who are you without the culture influencing your choices? Let me go ahead and put this.
Bones, meaning if you look at my barber and you see how he, now he probably would have a beard but he got a baby face. But if you bring your beard down to my length, right? Because this beard comes from a trend. It comes from a fad that we seen happen. And y'all have earrings, right? You notice I don't have earrings. And I don't have a nose ring. You notice I don't have the big beard. You notice I don't have the little nappy fro that guy's wearing. And I don't have a blonde dye in my hair. When you go to your bare basics of who you are as a man without what culture has told you to be, that's when you find yourself. And that's when you can easily see a woman. But when we are a product of pop culture, then we don't know who we are. So then we can't begin to ask the question, how to find a wife, what to look for in a wife. So we ask those things because we literally are looking up to grown boys. We're looking up to fatherless men who have not healed. Nothing wrong with being fatherless because we don't get to choose that. Or motherless. We don't get to choose that. We don't get to choose if we go through trauma as a child, if somebody touches us as a child, if somebody abuses us, if somebody bullies us. We don't get to choose that, but we get to choose healing. So what happened is we have so many men who have not healed and they have a microphone. And when you think about that, that's the most dangerous thing in the world, to allow someone who's bleeding to go spread their blood on millions of people, and their blood is infected with an infectious disease, and now they spreading it, and that's what we have today. So what y'all first should do for y'all is find yourself and look in the mirror and look at every single thing that you have, the way you dress, everything, and then ask yourself, is this comfortable for me? Like,
All right, let's go ahead and get into it. Who are you without the culture influencing your choices? Go ahead and start with you first, Tresman. What are your thoughts about that?
I couldn't really get into a lot of the stuff he was talking about with the styles and the trends, because I mean, we all fall into that. Even what he was doing himself, it was a trend at some point. He just got stuck in it. So, that is what that is. Now, as far as people being out here who haven't healed yet and are spreading poison, that's a real thing, right? We have men and women who are guilty of it. Some people in the manosphere, man, like you've heard of the red pill rage. You see some people who, and you can tell just by listening to them that a lot of people who are giving advice, sometimes they don't really have the experience with women. You can tell that they would get out there in the field and bomb out and not do anything, but they're advising people. A lot of people, they watch what some people are already putting out, and then they'll try to just emulate it, right? And there's a lot of that. And once people get a certain amount of following, then people just start to believe you, right? No matter what type of poison you're spewing out here into the atmosphere, once you are popular enough, you get enough likes, you have enough followers, you get over 100,000, then people just believe almost everything you say. Right? You're always going to have your naysayers, but there's a good following. If there's 100,000 people following you, then that means that you are influencing them, right? That's why they call us influencers, because we're literally influencing people, right? We try our best to steer them in the right direction, but if we don't know, and we don't know what we talk about, who's to stop us? So it's a dangerous thing. I would encourage anyone who is in the business of influencing to actually do your research, right? And you have to experience it. There's nothing like wisdom. You have to experience some things. I try to stay within any niche that I know what I'm talking about, things that I have actual life experience. And I don't just try to tell people things because I saw somebody else say it and then regurgitate that. Of course, we back things with statistics and data, but you should have some type of experience before you start to tell other people how it is they should conduct themselves in their lives, because it can be a dangerous thing. And a lot of us are raised by single parents, right? We're looking at 70-80% of us. So a lot of us are missing that foundation, that family foundation, everything that makes you into the man or woman that society should appreciate. And we don't have that. And sometimes people find this as an outlet, right? You being on social media could be an outlet. But then once you have people who listen to you, then they'll ask you for advice and you give it. And they're like, oh, okay. It's hard to turn that down. It's hard for you to stop it. You're just going to continue to do it because now people are depending on you for this and you don't have the answers, but you don't want to tell people you don't have the answers. So you try to get the answers. And meanwhile, you got people running around here that don't know what they're doing. They're following a leader who needs a leader.
All right. Marcus White, what are your thoughts about that, sir? Who are we without the culture influencing your choices?
I think nowadays people don't even realize the amount of programming that they fall victim to, right? So if you look at a TV, right, all the commercials that feed in, they feed your impulse system. They feed the things that you feel you should have, right? If you do something as simple as a lot of us disconnected and start just using YouTube or other online mediums, right, and limited the commercials, I bet your spending habits decrease when you did that. That's just how influential some subconsciously like that could be implanting an idea in you and you run with it. I think as Black people, we have a culture that we subscribe to, and we try not to veer out of it for fear or ridicule amongst each other, right? And in doing so, I think people definitely lose themselves. That's how we fall victim to this hypermaterialism. That's how we fall victim to, oh, you bought an X3, that's a baby mama car. You should have got the, or the X5, that's a baby mama car. You should have got the X7. We get to judging each other from a lens that's primarily from a culture, but it's not our culture, right? So what he's talking about, I think is spot on. Sometimes you got to disconnect from everything and be able to sit with yourself, look yourself in the mirror and be happy with who that person is. Be able to sit in silence, be able to just sit with your thoughts and self reflect and determine who you are. And I honestly don't think a lot of people can do that, will do that, or have the desire to do that, because these dopamine hits, the things that the culture rewards you for, we constantly running back to and constantly getting a hit from. Yeah, I don't think many people have independent thought. I really don't.
Okay. So Jones, who are you without the culture influencing your choices? Can't hear you. You on mute?
Yeah, Cloud.
No, we can't hear you.
Cloud, you're still on mute.
I'm gonna come back to you. Go ahead, Luis.
Yeah, I'm gonna say this. Popular culture shapes and molds a lot of men and a lot of women, especially at a very young age. There's the power of radio, podcasts, TV, movies, magazines. It's everywhere. Popular culture is spread everywhere on all types of mediums. And it does shape, but you have to have a sense of identity. And I think that sense of identity comes from the home, right? It comes from the developing a foundation of who you are and what your family is about and what your family name stands for. And those things cannot be taught outside your home. You know what I'm saying? You need to be prepared for the things that come outside your home. And I have to kind of challenge you a little bit. I kind of disagree a bit with the influencers, because people who influence are people who teach people to follow them in their footsteps rather than inspire people to find themselves in their own process, right? It's like creating a cult-like following to shape yourself in the image of that influencer, rather than that person inspiring you to shape yourself into something that is better than what you were before, right? That sort of piece of mold becomes some sort of figure, some sort of statue, something that you could reflect back on that has really changed you mentally, physically, and financially in all aspects of your life. And in order to do that, I ask the simple questions like, what is culture? What is culture today? You know what I'm saying? Especially this culture, or we're talking international culture that spreads about. What is consistent about it? You know what I'm saying? Because there's always a hot new trend. There's always the new TikTok dances. and there's always something new to be out. But what is there consistent on? If all else fails, what can you revert back to as the primordial basis for your influence, for your teachings? That has to be it. That principle has to be culture, and you can find that in other cultures around the world. What is now is momentary, a feel good, and then it goes away, and then something else replaces that culture or that trend later down the road, generations to come. But what is consistent about the culture in which you stand in? You know what I'm saying? What are you proud about it? And what do you celebrate about it? Those are the things that need to be highlighted much more, rather than the short-term, short attention span kind of trends that tend to happen in today's culture because of social media, because of other visual outlets. So that's all I got.
All right. Cloud Jones, you there?
Yeah. Can y'all hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I think everyone that spoke made some great points. I think there's absolutely some truth to the fact that a lot of people are subject to not just culture but like propaganda and media. Like a lot of people are heavily influenced by what they hear, and I think it's really a matter of the difference between whether the culture is influencing you or you're choosing your culture. I don't think you can really help being influenced by culture at all. Whether it's music, whether it's entertainment, whether it be your religion, your family, there's going to be some type of culture that influence the type of person you become. But a lot of times we're not the ones who are consciously choosing that culture. I think that's a lot of the concern of what the guy in the video was talking about, because particularly today with hip hop and with music and social media, and how it's so insidious in the way it gets into people's minds, because our phones are always with us. There's always a screen on. We're always watching something. So it can really get into your mind from any different angle. And I think because of that, people definitely aren't choosing the culture. The culture is definitely being influenced. Um, the culture is definitely influencing them, and the culture is taking hold in their mind in a way that they're not consciously aware of. So I definitely think it's good for everybody to I guess do a little bit of self-reflection and evaluate themselves, and try to audit how much of their behavior is influenced by their actual conscious decision making, and how much of their behavior is influenced by you know external sources. So yeah.
All right, go ahead, Brother Hink.
So I'm gonna be honest, I kind of zoned out on that first part, talking about that bullshit to me. But the second part definitely makes sense. Um, you know, trying to, self-correct yourself, fix yourself, look in the mirror, hold yourself accountable, and knowing you could be passing on, some bad bullshit on, not on to your to your woman or your wife or your significant other, but to your kids too. So I could definitely agree with that. Fixing yourself before you get into any type of relationship. Don't carry no baggage into the next relationship, because you're not going to do anything but ruin that too, as well as probably ruin that woman if the situation's that bad. So I'm all for that, self-correction, fix yourself, being accountable, and all that other good stuff. That shit is talking about trend, having an earring, wearing a beard, or wearing your hair a certain way. Yeah. He took a long time to get to this point to me, but this is my opinion.
All right, go ahead, Trigger Mike.
Yeah, so the question was, who are you without the influence of the culture? That's a good question, because I think you're your authentic self. You are your authentic self. What would you be doing without the pressure? That's really the word that we can say. That's what the culture puts on people, to perform in a certain way, to look, dress, and behave in a certain way. So I believe that as you age and as you become older, get more wise, you are eventually supposed to become your authentic self. This is necessary not only for romantic relationships, but every relationship you have in your life cannot progress without you understanding that about yourself. And that's naturally going to hold people back. I think for me, one of the things that it did was my proximity to the people that I was trying to impress was a big factor in whether I submitted to the pressure of the culture. The second I removed myself and stopped spending every Friday, every Saturday, every weekend out trying to do the brunch thing and all of that, I just decided to, I guess for lack of better words, find myself and who am I really? I don't have to have every pair of fly ass Jordans or Oxfords even, right, to go out and be seen. I like t-shirts from Walmart now. Them shit's comfortable. This is from Walmart. This shit is from Walmart, right? You can usually tell when I dove myself into the role of dad, let's say, it became my favorite thing. It's something that I love so much more than any party, more than any sitting around smoking cigars with friends. I became my authentic self, somebody who is naturally compassionate, who wants to see his society and his community work, right? And I think what we'll look at years down the line is most people, their life story tells who they were authentically, right? So, in between, nobody's going to remember all the cars you drove, but they're going to remember that you spent some time in the military to serve your country. You spent some time in school to learn a craft. You dedicated that time to build a home for your family, so on and so forth. But I think I forget who made the point. So many of our people today are well into their 40s and don't have a clue who they are in an authentic sense because of so many false idols. And to be honest, it's propaganda. Yeah, it's propaganda. It's endorsed to them, and they have focus groups and rooms where they figure out how to keep you locked into them because your eyes and your scrolls keeps them employed. It keeps the advertising dollars rolling, so on and so forth. So I would invite people to unplug themselves from that, just to find your authentic self, change up a little bit. And I know it's scary because this is the scariest part. When you do that, you're going to find yourself detaching from some friends and maybe even some family members. My mic is muted.
All right. Go ahead, Shan. I don't know who that's in the chat. Y'all check them people that's in the chat. Go ahead, Shan.
Who are you without culture influencing your choices? I think you are you with or without the culture. I think the video was just a bunch of word salad. Somebody trying to sound smart on a show, making it seem like trying to make an impact and just say a bunch of shit that I don't necessarily agree with or believe with. I love culture personally, and I have no problem with it so long as it's not trash. It's important for people to be aware of and consider the trends in your community and at your job, the business that you do every day. That's how, when we think of companies like Toys R Us or Blockbuster Video, they ignored culture. Coming from a business standpoint, they didn't adapt to the changing culture of society and to the new digital age. And Amazon wiped their ass out. Netflix wiped out Blockbuster because they didn't change their culture. They didn't pay attention to it. And by paying attention to your culture, whether it's your social, your family culture or your ethnic culture or where you live, I don't have a problem being a Roman in Rome. When in Rome, do as the Romans do, right? When in LA, when in Atlanta, when in New York, when in Japan, when in China, when in Australia, do as they do. Because it can provide you valuable insights to how you inform your decision making for what you do in your personal life and how you become who you are. Humans are colonial people. We live in colonies, where there's usually a person in charge and then there's a chain of command and it breaks all the way down. That's how we are. We are lions. We're not tigers. We roam in groups as Homo sapiens. We're not tigers. We're not out there all by ourselves and just roam by ourselves. We need each other. And so to say that I will only be able to find myself if I remove all the people around me and everything that could potentially influence my decision making and strip down to the bare Shannon and go out. So what I got to do? I got to go be a hermit for a year. Do I got to shut everything off? Should I get rid of all? I don't think that's necessary. In fact, by doing that, I think could be potentially detrimental to your advancement in this colonial community that we call America as Americans, or Californians as Californians, or here in LA, how we roll on the west side in LA, or as Black people, or as men. We talk about roles, right? How men should move. Should I abandon men and say, well, you know what? I want to find myself and figure it. No, I need Trigger Mike. I got to listen to Trigger Mike. I want Hink and JR to influence me, because they're not trash. Now, if it's got some trash motherfuckers, I gotta ignore that. And we have to have some discernment to be able to figure out who to ignore and who not to ignore. But I need to listen to Trev. I don't want to get rid of Trev so I can find myself. I want Trev to give me some information so he can influence me to be a better me. So that's just me. I think it's a bunch of bullshit, and I'm okay, because I'm gonna be me one way or the other. So why not be me with as much information and knowledge and guidance from my peers and the people around me as possible, than getting rid of everybody and figuring it out all by myself, and then coming back and saying, okay, new year, new me. Just, I think that's bullshit. But that's just me.
But Shane, don't you feel also that even LA culture is exported? LA culture is exported to the world
and exploited. Yeah, it is
exploited, right? So, when you think about your culture and where you are located geographically, and the people around you and your neighbors and your fellow people within your circle, I'm pretty confident when you travel and you go abroad or even domestically, there's a part of like LA that exists other places around the world. So I feel like that component of culture is exported. And sort of like now, I think the next question becomes like, what parts of other cultures are we really like? I think it's just at this point, it's a huge gumbo. You know what I'm saying?
Well, listen, I understand what you're saying. So when I was deployed to Africa the first time in 1992, I came back. No, it's the second time. It's the second time I was deployed. And I came back, and that's when I decided to never leave food on my plate. Before I would eat, you go to a restaurant, we go to a party. After the party, we go to Denny's or whatever, and then you order some food and you just leave half the food, throw it away. I was young. I was 21, 22 years old. And then when I went to Africa, I realized, I'm never wasting food again. Then I started telling people, I encourage everybody to travel, get out of your environment and go explore, go travel, go at least one place overseas. There's a lot of people that's never left their city, much less the state that they're in, much less the country, And so I've always encouraged people to go explore, because I got a culture shock when I went to Africa. And so from then on, I don't waste no food. It's either I don't order as much as I used to, or I eat everything that's brought to me, or I take it home and make sure I eat it. That's something that I had to learn. So what you're saying is everybody should go out and experience cultures from other places to be well-rounded individuals. I believe that. And yes, here in California, our culture is exploited and exported. Black people's culture is exploited and exported and sold by others than ourselves. That's something that we got to get together. Nevertheless, to the question that's on hand, Lewis, do I need to, who am I without all of y'all? I'm gonna still be me, but I prefer y'all in my life. And I don't think that I'd be a worse or better person by removing you. In fact, I would argue I'm the best that I am because of you, and because of All of y'all, because of fucking Clout Jones. When I go to his music, I'll go over to a SoundCloud and I listen to his music. I'm better. It's just that little piece that I need to hear of every little when I tap in the Trigger Mike show and we at the office at my downtown and me and my employees and I'm piping that shit through the audio in the whole studio and they listening to Mike talk and I'm listening to the women listening to him. That's necessary. I don't want to remove that. So yes, Lewis, we are being exported and exploited. That's beyond my pay grade. I'm not sure how to fix that, but I don't want to do without it.
So I think my question would be, because I think I'm differentiating interpersonal relationships with friends and family that you specifically choose as opposed to the outward culture that influences us. For example, like Chicago, it's a violent place, right? So the way culture teaches you to behave in the city, you leave outside Chicago, you going to jail. You can't just get into it with somebody and bang, 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 and then just go about your business. Like you could behave away in Chicago, you can't behave in almost 49 other states or however many states. The culture, and not in my interpersonal, my mom, my brother, or you know what I'm saying, not my inner circle, but from a cultural standpoint, there are things that you get that if you allow them to be your normal, they can negatively infect you and affect you to the point that you do need to remove yourself from those things to see the non-normality of what you operating in. Similar to traveling. I think traveling is removing yourself from the culture that you're immersed in, like you hinted to earlier, Shan, and having a cultural shock. By doing that without self-isolating, you're essentially doing the same thing because you're removing yourself from your comfort zone and sitting with who you are outside of things that make you feel comfortable. And in that is where I think you find who you are, because you're making decisions that aren't affected by the general the general norms that are okay, as opposed to what is it that you actually want. Like people can shift beauty standards that way. They can do purchasing power that way. They can even do how people appeal to different music. You know what I mean? Because in order to like the newer generation of music, you got to step outside of the older generation, the older culture of hip hop, in order to appreciate anything that these young cats do. It's a space and a place for all of it. And I absolutely think that you don't isolate yourself from everyone at all times. I agree with you on that, right? But I definitely think that you need to, not you specifically, I'm saying like a person needs to learn who they are at their core so they can make decisions from a place of truth within them. In my
I
opinion.
want to go back to the word that Shannon used. It pretty much sums it up. Discernment, right? So what you want to do is expose yourself to as much influence as possible, and you have to learn how to eat the meat and spit out the bones. Pause. So you have to get as much exposure as possible. Why wouldn't you want that, right? At least so you know what's out there. You need to see what's out there just to be aware of it, the good, the bad, the ugly, the everything, right? So just like how you would tell your children, right? Like my method of parenting is this way. I don't hide anything from them, right? I show them things. I made sure I talk to them about, the birds and the bees early, different things, just so they know, right? I show them things. I let them see. They know who Sukiyana is. They know who Sexy Red is. They know all that, right? And I explain it to them with context because you can't hide them. You need that exposure just so at least you know what it is. But they also know what to do with it. They know what's right from wrong. They know, okay, this ain't for me. And I can explain it to them, give them that context. So if you do that with your children, they're going to understand how to look at things that they know is not the way that we do, and separate themselves from that, right? So even because outside influence is always going to come. I talked them about peer pressure. I told them what the effects of this is, what the effects of drugs are, everything else, right? I took them out of the country a couple times. Nothing crazy yet, but I've shown them around the world. Like I'll say, listen, this is how these people live this way. You need to see how that is. So you got to at least expose yourself to it and then do with the information what you will.
I just wanted to say something real quick. I think that we kind of got to reframe the question because is it really about culture or is it really about lack of culture? Because I think a lot of times when we have people who are being so easily influenced by the quote unquote culture, those are people who lack like a foundational culture. And I say that based off of my experience as a Caribbean American man, like, and just seeing like the differences between like Caribbean Americans and like Africans and like Latin Americans versus like straight up American born Americans. And it seems as though like a lot of the struggle that American born Americans struggle with is actually being able to define what exactly is the culture. And then it seems like a lot of what is defined as the culture, it has to do with like media. It's all about like, did you watch this movie growing up? Did you listen to this music growing up? Did you go to these places growing up? That's what you use to define your blackness. And I feel like for Americans, it seems to be a lot harder to separate from that quote unquote culture because there's no like ethnic culture to defer to. Like, you know, if I'm feeling lost, you know, I have a specific type of food, specific type of songs, specific type of sound, specific type of everything, dress style, things that I can go back to, that I can trace back to the country that my parents came from. And I think for Americans, a lot of times they don't have that, or at least they don't know how to identify what's theirs from, you know, what's been assimilated by the culture from what's been assimilated from like the entire melting pot. So I think we got to consider that sometimes it's not really culture that's the problem, it's the lack of culture. I want to give another point too. Like, we don't have this conversation about the Muslim culture. We don't think that they need to change their culture and separate from the culture as they get older. We don't have this conversation about the Jewish culture. You know, like the guy in the video was talking about, oh, you see my beard's not cut the way your beard is. Yeah, but in the Jewish culture, I don't know if you ever been in Brooklyn, but like all of them got the same beard. You know what I mean? All of them Jewish people, they not only the same beard, they wear the same clothes, they wear the same color. They, you know what I mean? They like down to everything, it's the same. The hairstyle, it's all the same. A lot of cultures are like that. You know, you go to China, Japan, a lot of the people have similar hairstyles, similar style of dress. So I absolutely think it's a lack of culture that's the problem rather than culture.
One of the things that's hard for me with this is like because of the previous trauma culture that we coming from out of it, we adopted a new culture where we were, I guess you would call it, attempting to pave the way as like building a plane while we flying, right? So we're trying to add pieces to what our culture currently is, but then it gets hijacked and then said it's American culture, and then we try and separate from that and try and find ways to differentiate into how it's just our culture. But we keep running into this game because we don't have any cultural walls to keep someone out and say, hey, this is ours. As soon as we get something that we enjoy and like, it gets appropriated and it's no longer ours. And then somebody will make the argument, that's not your culture, that's American culture. We kind of in a weird space when it comes to that.
Yeah, but American culture is everybody else's culture. American culture is an amalgamation of everybody else's culture, bits and pieces from here and there, and it's created some sort of Frankenstein of a culture that we have adopted as quote unquote American culture. But if you really look at the foundation of where it was started, the tradition, etc., it's not really domestic to where people are from. You know what I'm saying? It's something that is imported or some influence from another culture that has immigrated to America, right? And sort of you get to experience, see, and enjoy that culture in real life, in real time, without having to go to that foreign country or that foreign nation.
So when I'm speaking about American culture, I'm talking about like what we would typically deem like American Black culture, right? A lot of that is created on the fly. It may have derivatives and roots from other places, possibly, but a lot of like hip hop, right? That's one of the main things we would say is the culture. That's like Black American culture, and then it's removed. Like the top selling artist of all time, I don't think is even a Black American, right? It might be Eminem or Macklemore or something like that. Then how do we lay claim to it if we don't even own, like, because we don't have any cultural walls? I just keep going back to that.
It's Drake now. It's Drake. So half and half.
You know what it is, Marcus?
And he's Canadian.
I think Marcus, what we got to do is the way we got to lay claim to the culture is by not giving it up. Like you mentioned something. You were basically mentioning how like our culture gets appropriated, and it's almost like, so we're trying to create something new all the time. So it's almost like our culture becomes this like opposite thing, like where our culture is a counterculture. Where every time the culture changes, we're trying to be the opposite of it. But I think that puts us in a position where we end up having no foundation. So rather than trying to be a counterculture, I think we just need to stake our claim on what's ours. And if it gets labeled as American culture, then that's fine, because at the end of the day, isn't that what Black people have been fighting for all this time anyway? To get to acknowledge our influences and our contributions to the American culture. So it's like, yes, American culture is Black culture. And I feel like at some point we have to accept that and stop trying to create this different culture, because it's not different. Like it is American culture, and we have to embrace that. That's what it is. This is where we live. It's American culture, and we can't run away from the fact that it's American culture, because we're just going to keep finding ourselves destroying and rebuilding and just starting over and over again, going through this cycle of trying to create a new counterculture to the culture, because we got to throw out the old and get something new. It's even like you hear this in hip hop all the time. Oh, so and so is too old to be rapping. What are you talking about? Why do we have to throw out our old culture just because it became popular and became consumed? You don't hear that argument with rock. You don't hear that argument with country music. Their artists get old and they become legends. So I think we have to treat our culture that same way. We can't just dispose of it because other people like it now. It's not just not cool all of a sudden just because everybody else likes it. We have to
You
still
know
put
what?
our stamp on it and say, yeah, we know everybody likes it, but don't forget that's ours.
You know what's funny about that? Rock and country was originally our culture. Rock
But
was
those
our
are perfect examples. We threw those out
yeah.
because as soon as they became popular, we let them take the culture. We just said, oh, we don't want rock and country no more.
Don't
We're gonna
forget
do
jazz.
jazz now. We're gonna do hip hop now.
Nah, they
And then we don't
stole
want to
that,
do hip
bro.
hop no more. We want to do trap now. Then we don't want to
Nah,
do
they
trap no
stole
more. We
that
want to do
clout.
drill.
That was stolen. Nobody gave that away.
All of
That's
them was
crazy.
stolen.
No, but think
He
about it though.
said,
How many of us are teaching our kids how to play rock instruments? You can't say it was stolen when we're not preserving the culture. White people are investing into teaching their kids how to play
Yeah.
guitars, how to play drums, how to play, like
Well, that
the
part I
idea of
absolutely.
a garage band is like
Here's
a
what.
white
Here's
culture
our
thing.
greatest. I'd say here's our greatest failure as a people. Anytime somebody brings a check to buy a part of your culture, we sell it. That's really the problem. Everybody could have been like, no, not for sale. And the worst part is if you don't sell it, they will steal it. So, in America, every bit of culture that's created gets assimilated into the greater culture. Because when you think about it, the first time I had ever seen this representation, I'm from Virginia, for those of y'all that don't know, 757 area. And then Allen Iverson was the biggest thing ever, right? When he was getting hot. To see white kids braiding their hair in the back and putting his jersey on and his headband, I was like, what? There's nothing you can do about dope shit. If you display it, somebody's going to want to emulate it and replicate it. The worst part about it is that we don't make it to the market before they do to sell our stuff. That's the craziest part about it.
I'll do you one better, Trigger Mike. The ambassador to a French ambassador's son who was braiding his hair just like Iverson in France. So
Damn.
it talks about it's not only local, it's international. You know what I'm saying? It's sort of like I don't think we can't contain it and put boundaries and say that this can only go this far and this limit. The cat's out the bag. That man, if Mars got up and going, everything that we would have here, they would be doing on that planet as well. We have gone globalized at this point, but it's important to understand where the origin of it, the story of it, and the foundation of its relevancy has in the impact of what it has on the current popular culture today. That is something, that story and that sort of historical arc has to be consistent, right? It can't just be left abandoned for somebody else to pick up the fumble football and run it into their favor.
You
Exactly,
know what's
Luis. So
wild?
if we look at for example, like Mexican culture, America has obviously appropriated Mexican culture when it comes to food. But that doesn't mean that when you go to Mexico, they're going to start serving pizza now. No, when you go to Mexico, you're still going to get Mexican food. You're going to get a more authentic version of Mexican food. So we just have to make sure that we preserve the authentic version of the culture. It doesn't matter what the consumer version of the culture is. There's Chinese food in every hood in America, but guess what? You go to China, You go to Sichuan province or whatever the case is, you're going to get that quality Chinese culture. They know what the real culture is. And when
Yeah.
they sell it to us, they don't sell us the real one. So we got to learn to do that too. If you want to sell the culture, sell it. Just don't sell them the whole sauce.
That's fair. You know what's crazy? We start like gravitating around this melanin is popping thing, right? You know, they created a shot that somebody that's not melanated could take this shot and actually become a melanated person. Have you seen this? You know what I'm talking about? Hold on, I'm about to put this in it. Give me a second.
Hey, Clout, you know it's crazy what you said that hit me the most was rappers get old. Oh, you old. What you old rappers? Rappers are supposed to retire at 40. And that's even a long stint, but it's a trip. I'm rare. Rolling Stones is dropping an album in 3 days. They going on tour. Rolling Stones is going on tour in 2024, and they dropping an album on October 20th. A studio album. But rappers, that you're old. I can't, but we're not supposed to listen to Method Man no more. Because Meth is old now. You know, I put up a video that one that Redman went over that one Chris Brown beat with him and Busta, and he killed it the other day. We're not supposed to listen to Redman no more. We got to listen to the young guys because rap is a young game. So black people, we are our own problems a lot of times. We are like, yo, we own hip hop. Hip hop is us, but fuck that. We can't have no legends in hip hop unless they get shot and killed. There's no living legends here and shit. You got to be young, and you got to be a young. You know, you already. Oh, ain't nobody buying your shit. Ain't nobody listening to you. That's we tear each other down so crazy. All while the Rolling Stones is dropping another album in 3 days. That's crazy to me. That hit me hard right there with that one, Clout.
Shannon, even if we look at clothes, right? Like for example, Gucci and Louis Vuitton don't get old, but Rockaware gets old. You know what I'm saying? Sean John, oh that's corny, that's played out. You can't wear that no more. But nobody's saying you can't wear Balenciaga no more. Nobody's saying you can't wear Margiela no more. Nobody's saying you can't wear Chanel no more. A lot of these companies were started as far back as the 1800s. And none of that drip is like played out. You get what I'm saying? But when it comes to our culture, because we like to just consume it and toss it, it's like, oh, well, we can't wear that no more. It's played out. Carl Kanai was one of the first black designers to have something popping. You don't see nobody rocking Kanai right now, not because he's not a quality designer anymore, but because it's quote unquote played out. But that wouldn't happen in white culture.
Yo, you're gonna hurt some feelings tonight, Clout. You're gonna hurt some
definitely
feelings.
I'll rock
Yo,
a
bro, I
rose
would
color
say
right
this,
now. I ain't gonna lie to you.
even if you look at all those name brand cultures, if you look very carefully and pay attention to their branding, if you pay attention to their origin story, and you look at the influence, a lot of that isn't really original to their own geographical location, but rather an external influence that they have stolen and appropriated and rebranded and shaped into their name and likeness, which we buy. Let's be very, very clear. It is not original to them. They were influenced and they copied, right? What's that saying? You know, a good artist, great artist steal, right? They essentially stole it, steal from other cultures and rebranded into their own, and we buy it. But in reality, we're really looking at a copy of something that we created. It just doesn't have a black face, behind it.
With high
And
end
Mark,
designer fashion now, it's streetwear. Streetwear is the new high end designer fashion. They all have a streetwear line. I'm sorry.
And Marcus, I'm gonna go ahead and put this up there. You can explain what's going on. Yeah.
So this lady Martina Snow, she took a tanning injection, and in that tanning injection, it turned her. This is her actual skin color right now. Her and her boyfriend took the injection. She was on I think it was Good Morning America British, and the weird thing is she said she went to Africa. Yeah, that's the interview, right? Her and him. So she changed to she darker than me now, and he and they
You look like
said
The
that.
Rock now.
For real. And they said that when they went to Kenya, because they connected with the Africans there, that Black Americans aren't connected to the culture and that they are that they're really Black because they went to Kenya and are actually part of the culture now. This is the type of shit I'm talking about.
This is the new level. This is the new level, the new modern age of robbery, cultural hijacking. This is what it is. Yeah, I want to know something. So when they did this experiment, did their credit score immediately drop at least 150 points? And did their profile visibility go up by getting pulled over more often by the police? I really, really am asking for a friend.
Look, man,
He said
I feel
racism ain't real.
y'all. I feel y'all, right? I feel what y'all saying, but we gotta cut. Look, you gotta cut them a little slack, and I'm gonna tell you why I say that, right? Because a lot of times they put a lot more effort into preserving our culture than we do. A case in point, I'm gonna give y'all this. One time I was in Louisiana. I'm on the street just walking through the French Quarter or whatever, and there's this guy playing this instrument. And I had literally never seen this instrument before. It was some weird like guitar that looked like it was like three guitars, but it had some type of horn on it. So I go up to this white dude who's playing this instrument and I'm asking him about, I'm like, what is this? And he's like, oh, this is an African, whatever, whatever. It comes from, I forget where he said it came from, Botswana or somewhere. But it's like, here's this white dude in the middle of New Orleans, and he took the time out to actually learn how to play this mystery instrument, and he's playing it. So it's like, on one example, we could say, oh yeah, they're appropriating the culture. Sure, I give you that. But at the same time, that this music and this culture is living on because this person's actually putting into practice. And it's like, how many of us again are handing this shit down? Like, how many of us know how to play these sacred instruments of our ancestors and shit like that? We don't know this shit, but there's some white guy in England somewhere that got an African horn on his wall and he knows how to play the songs. So it's like it sounds crazy, but the reality is we have to put actual effort into preserving our culture. Like, you have to look at how much effort white culture puts into preserving the past. Like, they build museums, they have Smithsonians, they have entire people who have careers just around preserving the past, not just their past, but our past as well. So if they're investing so much to preserve our past, then we absolutely have to do double the work to preserve our past.
That is very true. I did a music museum which houses instruments that go back to the 16th century, 16th to like late 19th century instruments. You know what I'm saying, from all over the world. And that it just looking at that and the amount of effort and the amount of attention to detail of where they know where it came from, how it was used, how it was built. They have an entire lab, how it's preserved and how to reconstruct it. There's a great level of effort to preserve history and culture. And I think that when we talk about these types of conversations, even amongst general people, that's lame, that's whack, and stuff like that. There isn't a great appreciation for these things because people don't understand the past, right? And that's a huge component in order to project yourself forward. It's to understand, all those things that came before you and how we had a great impact on it, right? And you understand that history, but when that is not presented to you and you don't care about it in a greater sense, it is therefore loss.
I don't care.
All right, let me see if I can share this screen. Marcus just sent this crazy ass file. This lady looked terrible, man.
Yeah, I think the injections was only 2,500, and she got 3 of them. Her boyfriend had got 2, and they told her that her baby would be black now too.
Wait, hold on. 2,500 to be black?
Yeah, it was like the tanning injection. It was like 2,500 per procedure. Yeah, that's a wig she has on.
Wait, so
the
her
hair
kids are
part.
gonna become black?
That's what she said. The doctors told her.
Yeah, but I will say this.
Nah,
I will say this. You will find, like, we're joking and laughing and stuff like that.
Real.
But if you pay very close attention to what type of floodgates themselves to go after specific scholarships, grants, certain fundings, programs in order to get preference for certain jobs and notoriety, like it goes deeper. Like we're just talking about this on the surface level, all puns intended. But this shit can cut deep, especially once they start to check that minority box, right? and start to kind of check for this grant application and all these other things. All the things that we are currently not taking full advantage of, I promise you, they will position themselves to be in the right place and take that opportunity. In any way, or better yet, steal it. Not even take it.
It's already happened with like like when they were paying $2 for Indian classification in order to get reservations and land settlements and all that stuff. I mean, look, we need to be more savvy as a people in manipulating the system or using the system and however we can for whatever benefit we need. Like we need to know we need to have like a published notebook or like a little newspaper that talk about grant opportunities, business things that specifically are dedicated for us in the situations that we find ourselves in financially in order to elevate. Like that should be common knowledge. It should be no person that is in a position that qualifies for something that can't have a good one-stop resource where they can go find all the information that they need that can fit you're homeless, you homeless with a child, you're a homeless single father. Okay, this the grant you qualify for. Here's our contact person for this. We should have all of this stuff pipelined. You know what I mean? Like we lacking it in regards to that and to setting that up.
All right. Go ahead and get to these super chats real quick. Just hit me out 199. Chinese restaurant help control cat population. Just hit me out 199 says Rachel Dolezal.
Dolezal.
Okay, Dolezal.
Yeah.
We can go that far.
She was previously, before this lady, she was the blackest white woman in America. Previous.
The lady German, her accent is crazy.
All right, we're gonna go ahead and keep it. Hit the like button. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Moving on to our next topic of the night, which is a good woman. We'll go ahead and play this clip.
A good woman sounds good, right? Having all her stuff together, maybe having a degree behind her belt, got her own. But then once you get something, you know you're not up to par. Mm-hmm. You know you can't level up to be on the same level as she is, so you back away.
Well, hold on. I just have to go ahead and give the opposite side of that, okay? I don't know you personally, baby, so this is not geared towards you, okay? But how do you know if you are a good woman? And the problem is when women step into relationships and say, I'm this great woman, it's hard for a man to come in and do anything that will register as love for you. So if he feels undervalued, he's going to run. And most times as women, because I'm guilty of this, had all my stuff together. I thought I did. But the thing about it is I was unreceptive because I had it all together. Mm-hmm. So I thought there was really nothing. I didn't realize, because sometimes I feel, okay, you should just come in and fill certain voids, but I didn't realize that man was actually an enhancement. So I didn't value him. I didn't show him that he was appreciated and acknowledged. And that's when he ran for the hills. And sometimes we do that as women because we tell ourselves we have it all together and we don't. Now, I ain't guilty of that no more, but I used to be.
Church. Let's go ahead and get into it. A good woman. A good woman. I'm going to go ahead and start with you first, Fred. Oh, my bad. I caught you on this.
No, I'm cool.
Okay. All right.
Hey, all good. Yeah, there's a lot of truth to that. There's women who try to come to a relationship prepared sometimes, and that's good. But what they don't realize is a lot of the things that they deem as valuable aren't necessarily valuable to men, right? So they could come, okay, she said you had a degree under your belt. That's cool, right? Where you're working, that's cool. But what does that really do for us as men, right? We all know how women are when they have money. They are worried about themselves for the most part, whereas when men start to get money, they get money for not just themselves, but to build a family, right? They have their wife on their mind. They have their children on their mind for the most part. Not to say there aren't the outliers and exceptions, but that's just how women generally operate. Women are more selfish, period. When women go into a relationship, they pretty much want you to be ready and they want you to be better than they are as a man, right? So if you get into a relationship with a woman who has a degree, she wants you to have at least her degree, right? She wants you to have her education. She wants you to be able to earn more money than she earns, right? Women are just hypergamous. So there's nothing you can really do about that. Now, what she deems is good doesn't mean that I'm going to deem it good. And I don't really care. You could bring all of that stuff to the table and it's not going to matter. That's not what I look for in a woman. What I look for in a woman is for her to be a nurturer, for her to be cooperative, for her to be feminine. Those are the things that most men value, and women bringing all these other things to the table. Most of those qualities, when a woman is career driven and all that, when you are in that environment, a lot of times you become more masculine, and that's not something that most men are going to value anyway. So there's a big difference between what a woman deems as a good woman and a man.
All right, go ahead, brother Hank. Good woman.
Well, shit, good woman to me is not going to talk about it. They're going to be about it. Don't tell me what you are. Show me. I don't. Your talk don't mean shit to me.
I don't care.
Exactly. You could be telling me a bunch of bullshit. Don't mean shit to me. You say one thing, you mean the other. So you got to show me how good of a woman you are, and don't just tell me. Don't just tell me you're a good woman and all of that. But like Trev says, certain things, a woman having her degree is important to me because I want her to be a smart individual so she can teach our kids. Education is important to me. I'm all about education. So I don't have no problem with a woman coming and telling me she got her degree, she got her bachelor's, her master's, or PhD, whatever the case may be. That's cool. I'm all for it. How much money you make? That's good. That's more money for us. I'm about one pot, so your money and our money's gonna be together. We're gonna make this thing work it out. So if that's what you consider good, that's a start. But I need to know what's between your ears. What's going on your shoulders? Is what's going on up there? Is that right? Is that good? Are you mentally right? Are you emotionally together? Have you dealt with any issue that you need to deal with? I don't want your luggage from 5 years ago brought to 2023. You leave that in 2018. I don't need to bring it forward. Leave it there. Deal with it. Address it. And allow me, the man, to deem you a good woman. I don't give a damn what your friends say. I don't give a damn what your mammy say, your father say. That don't mean anything to me. I'm going to deem you a good woman. I'm going to be the one to bless you with my last name. If you're that good woman as you say you are. But if you show me you're not, I'll leave you at the restaurant.
Leave at the Cheesecake Factory.
Right on.
Go ahead, Cloud.
Yeah, I agree with what Hank just said, man. I think that when it comes to being good, anything, when it comes to character, I think that a person who's truly good, because they're always striving to be better, I think that they rarely would define themselves as good. So I think that when you have like a woman who's self-proclaiming that she's a good woman, it's like, well, that's not something you can self-proclaim. Like that's something people say about you. That's something that your friends and the family and the people in your community say, yo, or your man would say, yo, this is a good woman because he's the one who's experiencing her womanhood externally. I think it's the same thing for a man. You know, I could run around and say I'm a good man all I want, but what are my kids saying? What's my woman saying? What are my friends saying? My mother, the people who are around me who have to deal with me. If they're not saying I'm a good person, then it doesn't matter what I say. So I think a lot of women do go into the world thinking that their achievements qualify them as good, and they don't think of how their goodness is in relation to another person. And men and women's standards and what we appreciate are very different. I think a perfect example that most men can relate to is like makeup, for example, right? Like when a woman gets her makeup done and she gets a full face of makeup and she looks in the mirror, she's thinking, I look beat. Like I'm beat to the gods. Like that's what she's thinking. Like I'm a baddie right now. The first thing you thinking when you see her walk out that bathroom with that makeup is she about to fuck my shirt up. That's the first thing you're thinking. But in her mind, she's like, yo, I'm about to get all his attention. He's about to be all over me. in your mind, you're like, I don't want her to get too close to me because I spent too much on this fucking shirt that has foundation on it when we go out tonight. So now when we're out together, she's gonna be confused, like, damn, I didn't put all my makeup on. He ain't even trying to get close to me. And every time she try to rest her head on me, I'm like, yo, get off me. And she don't understand why. It's because we have completely different ideas of what good is and what bad is. So I think that it's good for men and women to have that type of discussion so that we can kind of align our expectations. Because again, what we appreciate and what women appreciate and what we think is a good woman and what they think is a good woman can often be polar opposites.
Cloud, she looked like she coming out living a lie to me.
Exactly.
All right, go ahead, Marcus.
No, I think y'all cooked this. I think y'all 100% on point. Like 100% on point. So I struggle with this in this era too, right? So this is the era of self-promotion where people say what they are, they go online and they can fake it till they make it and put the image out and people genuinely accept it. I'm from a era of publicity where someone else had to speak for you about you in order for it to hold value. So a lot of times when people are like, oh, I'm a good woman, I'm a good man, that is you self-proclaiming that. People are supposed to say that for you. That should, like Hank said, your actions should speak for you. It should not be you just standing at the top. I'm the richest person in the world. If you are that rich, everyone knows, and you didn't have to say a thing. If you're that great of a woman, everyone knows, and you didn't have to say a thing. Most of the people that we consider the best people, they don't self-promote at all. We'll include them in a conversation, and they're nowhere around. And I think that in this day and age specifically, this goes back to cultural influence. That's part of the culture now to self-promote to the point that you could just convince yourself of anything, and we all supposed to believe your perception is an actual reality. It's a real strange time we in right now. It's a real strange time. It's a real strange time. But a good woman to me is a woman that listens, that picks up on cues, who I don't have to ask you repeatedly, and it's so many things that go into it, but I primarily only be around good women because, like Hank said, I'm not just allow you. Any bad women, okay, I see it, I identify it by. I don't have to keep you around for anything. So I don't even really spend my time focusing on the bad women because in my mind, they don't exist. They're a blip on the radar and then they're invisible. Oh, she got a bad attitude and she talk crazy. I don't see her no more. I just don't. She becomes invisible to me. Like I don't have to see her repeated bad behavior. One time's enough for me. Oh, that's what you on? All right, good luck with that. I wish you the best, ma'am. That's you know what I'm saying. I'm not dealing with that shit. I think that in this day and age, we shouldn't give them the attention to focus on how bad these women are, because women are attention driven. And just like they couldn't determine the difference between sexual attention and relationship attention, it seemed to me that negative attention and good attention is getting the same type of a treatment. They rather go viral for talking about how can I get a train ran on me from a football team. Then I seen a clip today. I'm like, really? This lady just put this out here with steps on how to get a train ran on you by a football team? Then doing something positive, because attention is attention. Like what's going on with Jada right now. That's just attention. It don't seem to matter whether it's positive or negative, as long as people are talking about them. We live in some scary times.
All right. Go ahead, Luis.
We have certainly conflated short-term attention for long-term retention and think that they're mutually the same. And unfortunately, those types of videos that go viral seeking attention, or even some sort of like clickbait and fill up the comment base, that right there is to really take away and steal people's creativity to really think outside of just, the sort of sexual dynamic that comes between people coming together and really kind of thinking about it on a greater level. Like how do you self-improve? How do you show up for the ones that you love? I always ask those types of questions. Like, what I'm saying? The judgment of somebody is that what can you do for someone that can't do anything for you? You know what I'm saying? And I was on mute, and I was just kind of thinking to myself, while this conversation was kind of boiling in my head, and I was like, yo, what is a good woman? And I was like, yo, I mean, there are things that we want, a woman that is God-fearing, self-aware, supportive, kind, sweet, peaceful, a good listener, caring. All these things are hallmarks of someone who we are attracted to. Those things are attractive. They might not be on some men's list, and they might be on a lot of men's lists, right? So we have to shape, people, especially women, based on the things that they are able to do that you can already do for yourself. Like I already know I could cook. I already know that I'm a very organized person, that I'm very structured, that I have multiple streams of income, and all these things. And the list goes on and on and on. But when that person shows up in your life, you know what I'm saying? How do they move? You know what I'm saying? Are they there, to do they want partnership or do they want sponsorship? Right? Because if they're there just for sponsorship, they're just going to want you to take them out to eat, take them on trips, wine and dine, fill up their entire IG, DM box with other thirsty men for more attention and things like that, right? If she's there for partnership, she's there to add value. She understands, like, okay, like I know how his schedule is. I know how he eats. I know how what he needs, right? And you know how to show up for that person, right? Just no different than how a man steps into your life and he knows how to fix problems, how to address certain things, be aware of his surroundings, and tell you things about, people that you shouldn't really, associate yourself with because they don't have the best interest in you, right? Those things already come predetermined right up front as a whole package. It is a competence on that woman to display those abilities to that man early on. Like, don't hoard that. Don't wait until the fifth date. You need to be able to put those onto display and show who you are, right? Because I'm pretty confident that if you like that man, so does the sister behind you and the one behind her, and the line goes right around the corner. So you got to be a little bit more intentional about, about the things that you want, and qualify yourself for the things that you want. Are you?
Just so you know, Luis, he don't believe in partnership.
Hell no.
You want to tell him why, Hank?
Because it's a gay relationship. We're not equal. We're not the same. And if you say we're the same, then that means I'm dating a man and she dated a woman.
I'm with you, Hank.
Maybe partnership wasn't the right word.
I'm with you.
Right on,
Hank.
But back in the day, that's what we used to call them gay couples, partners. They're partners. They wouldn't recognize as marriage or none of. They was partners. But I forgive you, Lou. You got to learn. Right on.
All right, like I know Cloud Jones was talking about beat to the gods. That's what he's referring to.
Hell no.
Why you gonna do it?
Fire for that. Burn him out.
And you know what was crazy? I seen it go viral. I had took a glimpse of it, and how something just kind of catch your attention. It caught. I'm like, something ain't right with his face. I don't know what it is, but something. It was giving me like funeral vibes, but I didn't want to say it. I was just like, it was just. But you gotta look at those comments, man. They were saying all type of stuff. Did you guys read them comments on that post? I'm about to pull it up, man, and start saying some of that shit was hilarious. Go ahead, Shannon. A good woman.
It ain't much to say, man. All women think they're a good woman until a man shows her where she's bad. Then suddenly he don't know what he's talking about, right? What's the number one breakup statement? You'll never find another woman like me. That's what everybody thinks. The thing I don't like about what that woman said in the video that you played from tonight's conversation, at the end, she said, that used to be me. I'm not her no more. See, she's making the same mistake over again. The mistake that she identified that she made earlier on when she said, I'm a good woman, She's simply doing it again now, saying, well, you know, that was me then, but now I'm a good woman. It's like, well, that says who? You know, that's something that's going to be measured continuously for the rest of your life. And also, Marcus and Clout had said something that I don't necessarily agree with. They were saying that it's hard for you to define. You can't really say it. That needs to be measured by somebody outside before you out there saying I'm a good woman or I'm a good man or I'm a good person. I think you can. I think you absolutely can. And now I get what I think the sentiment is coming from. You're not supposed to assess yourself. You know, does my breath stink? Nope. You know, says who? You've been smelling it all day. Let me tell you that your breath stink. So I think they're coming from, you know what, you can't really self-assess yourself without anything to counter it. But if you've been hearing something for quite a while, for a long time, I think after a while you can start just taking it as gospel. There's a lot of shit that I think that I know about me that I know I don't need nobody else to confirm anymore. I believe it now. Shit. I'm sure that Clout believes that he's a good entertainer. But how many people have told him that? After a while, you just say, okay, well, goddamn, I guess I am good at that. You know, or if you are at firearms training, you know, you look at Trigger Mike, if Trigger Mike knows what the fuck he's talking about and he's compared himself to other firearms trainers and other people that's in his field over the last 10 years, he can say on his own, I know I'm good. I'm just letting you know I'm good. Now you can go test some other shit. You can go try some other people. You're going to end up back over here because I'm good at what I do. So I think you can say that you're a good man or you're good at a thing or you're good at something all by yourself, as long as you've heard it, have some experience. That's where wisdom and time and service is kind of applied. If you just all willy-nilly just wake up one day and say, you know, I'm a good photographer, and you don't know anything about aperture, you don't know shit about shutter speed, you don't know nothing about ISO or anything, right? You just say, oh, you know, you put the camera on automatic and you just start taking pictures. You don't know shit about composition, you don't know nothing about lenses. Then yeah, but after a while, you may get to say, you know what, I'm a goddamn good photographer, and I don't need nobody else to say it, and my work can show for it. Not to mention, I sell this shit. People pay a high price for it, and my work is in demand. I think those people don't say that.
People don't ask for discounts.
Put that out there, huh?
So
Shannon,
discounts.
I think we agree with your point, Shannon. I think because one of the things you said in the derivative of the statement was that it's been validated outside of you already, and then you finally come to the point. So what we were pretty much talking about was self-promotion versus competence creating confidence. What you're saying is confidence being created from competence in whatever that field may be. We agree with you 100%. We're saying that people are out here saying, I know I'm a good woman. No one else is saying that. Just you.
Yeah, like
no one else is.
Like let's be honest, Shannon. Like these women we're talking about, like nobody sat them down and looked them in the eyes and was like, you know, you're such a good woman. Like a lot of them be like perpetually single, haven't had a good relationship forever. Their last boyfriend told them they were terrible, but they leave the relationship and say, I'm a good woman. It don't work like that. You know what I'm saying? It really don't.
No, I'm with you on that. We in alignment on that. There's no pushback. It's just the way it came off is if you're saying people shouldn't say that they're good at something. It requires other people to do it, and I'm simply saying, you can say you're good at shit.
Well, I'm agreeing with you because I think it should be verified. Like, of course, if you've heard 1,000 times, you know that you're a great dresser. If everyone tells you, yo, I love the way you dress, then of course you can say, you know, hey, people tell me I'm a great dresser. You know what I mean? I think I'm a great dresser. But even then, that's what people who are great dressers usually will say something like, you know, people tell me I'm a great dresser. Like, you know, they're not just gonna be like, yo, I'm the best dresser in the world. They're like, well, I've been told I got a great sense of style. You know what I mean? Like they usually come out a little bit more humble.
Muhammad Ali would disagree.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
You know, Mike Tyson would disagree.
But he had the women to corroborate.
Yeah, he had the.
They called him great.
Yeah.
Muhammad Ali had women, so he could say I'm pretty because he had the women to back it up.
Well, he can also say he's the greatest boxer in the world by knocking motherfuckers out.
Yeah.
And you know, so and if he's out there saying, you know, people, he never said, well, people tell me I'm the greatest. He said, I'm the greatest. That's the statement. That's the full statement. I'm the greatest.
Wouldn't have
So-
recognized it if his resume wasn't as it was.
Yeah, if he had 20 knockouts, I mean, if he got knocked out 20 times and they knocked nobody out, he ain't gonna be running around saying I'm the greatest. You know what I mean?
I just want to ask a follow-up question to the gentleman on the panel. So when a woman says she's good, how is that measured? Is that measured by the validation that she receives from the people that she's dating, say she's a good woman, or
Absolutely not.
she have to be?
That's what it should be.
That's
That's not what it is. That's
I
the
didn't
delusion.
even
That's the
go on
delusion
that.
we're here.
I didn't even go on the original.
I don't give a shit about. It's what I say. At the end of the day, it's what I say. If I'm with you, I got to say this. I don't give a damn about what anybody else says. They don't see what I'm seeing. I'm seeing you outside the public eye. I'm seeing you in the home, how you act, how you carry yourself, how you dress, how you move. I'm seeing all this. So I need to determine whether you're a good woman or not. Not anybody else.
Let me ask you gentlemen a question. Have you ever came to a crossroad where you said, this is a good woman, she is amazing, she's just not for me?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
She's still a great woman. There's a ton of things that you could easily say yes, 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 yes. But you came to the crossroad. This is a great woman, just not for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that a lot of people need to come to the understanding that although that person might be a great woman, they might not be for you. You know what I'm saying? They just might not be that one. Just because they're great doesn't mean that person is for you. And I think that same rhetoric applies just equally for women as well, because I find it that the measures in which we say this is a great man, you know what I'm saying, without the social proof or what we've been talking about, the validation that comes from a close circle community, right, that has seen these things, is very difficult. So I just want people to really understand that, you know what I'm saying, even though somebody might be great, they just might not be great for you, and you need to understand that, and that's okay, and that's perfectly okay. Do not ruin that person, trying to fit a square peg into a round hole.
Absolutely. I'll say the sad part is I did a whole show on this. I had an epiphany just sitting down, and the show was good. I think it was called "What is a Good Woman?" Because when you think about it, just get these women to describe themselves. All women think they're good women. So now a good woman is no longer the standard. All women think they're good women, no matter what they're doing, no matter what their morals are like, simply because we are in the age of self-proclamation. You can say you are something, right? And the sad part is that men don't have this as bad, because I can say I'm the finest nigga on this panel, but half the nigga on the panel gonna call me ugly. Nigga, you ugly. And then half the women in the chat gonna agree with him, right? So we get instant consequences for being that delusional, right? So, but no, it's the opposite. Somehow they created some kind of megalomaniac frenzy society amongst women where Lizzo can be like, I'm the baddest bitch in here, and a bunch of skinny women with natural hair be like, yeah, girl, or you look at you, beautiful girl. Like, so it's a culture of delusion, right? And they can self-proclaim themselves to be anything but the opposite is true. I find it interesting that in this age of self-proclamation where women are saying I'm this, I'm that, you have the least amount of results the women that preceded you have. You're the least married group, right? And I'm not disparaging anybody. What I'm saying is that is what society actually remembers. That is what will be written through history. Who wanted you so much that they had to keep you and give you their last name? No matter how women try to slice it, that is ultimately how they get measured in society. Who kept you? Who dedicated their provision to you? Who was out here about to buck up on anybody and slap anybody over their woman. That's really, it's never going to change. How many men will die about you, right? So no, they're creating false value, but ultimately, you know, the market sets the rate. There was a video that came out that y'all saw from that Desirable Truth channel. That virgin girl that was talking. Oh my God. Oh my God. Had dudes in a frenzy. On my show when we were talking about, yo, I gotta get me one of them. Geez, what's her number? That is when you talk about just the way that young woman was speaking with such intention about her future, what she wants for her family, what she represents. That woman seems to have the makings of what could become a good woman. Right? And we don't, that's not in abundance. As a matter of fact, she was Canadian. I was pissed. I was like, there's one in America. She like, I'm from Canada. I was like, damn, we don't got one. Terrible. But I'm gonna go back to that word I was talking about earlier. What we need now is we need women that are authentic, and we need women that are true role players. Meaning not only do they know their role, they are intentional about being that very thing for themselves, for their man, for the children they hope to raise in the future. Because that's what we need. That's what's lacking. We live in the me culture where everything is about you and what you can acquire and your selfishness, and it's not serving me. No. We know good women serve and are the cornerstone of every society. So that's what I believe a good woman is.
Trigger Mike, I definitely know what you're talking about with that, because men and women is completely different with that. Like, as far as women are concerned, you ask them, okay, you see how many videos come up where they're saying, okay, what would you rate yourself from 1 to 10 based on no merit? 10, 11, 200. I'm like, damn, 200? What did you even offer? Now, if you just look at me as a man, right, and then you ask me, how would you rate yourself, Smooth? 10. Y'all gonna look at me like I'm crazy. Women are gonna laugh at me. There's nobody who's gonna take me seriously because me as a man said I'm 10. And none of you, rightfully so, would support me. Whereas women will support each other. Go ahead, girl, you got that. Yeah, 10. Tell them you a 10. You an 11. Like, what are we doing? So they're just reinforcing that delusion, right? It's supported. And men don't like. You'll see the content creators and stuff check them, but on a regular basis, we don't check them. We let them talk that talk. They could go ahead and say they attend, and we just be like, oh, we're not going to say nothing because we might be trying to hit it or whatever. So we just going to leave it alone and let it rock. But little do we know, that's going to continue to perpetuate the issue. We are helping make it worse by not saying anything, by not checking them. I don't care. If somebody says something to me, if you tell me you attend you a chick, I'm going to tell you you're not, or I'm going to ask you why. And I'm going to break it down. What is it that you offer? What is it that you do? Because they have to be questioned. Sometimes there has to be some checks and balances. You can't just come out here and then tell me you're a 10 or an 11 or a 200 and you're not. It's impossible to be a 200, first of all. But why do you think that you are maxing out the scale when you're just an average looking chick, making average money, doing average things, average fellatio, and you think you're good at it, but you're really not? What we doing? And we don't even tell them. You have to let women know when they're doing badly. If you suck in this area, you got to let them know, because they're not going to improve, right? They have no desire to improve. How can you? And if you ask a woman who's better on improving, they're going to say women are. But if you're a 10, how could you possibly improve? It's impossible.
So this, yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Go ahead. You got
it. This is the conversation I was trying to beat into the head of some thick-headed ass women last night talking. And they the number one thing they'll say when you get on these panels, you know, they'll say, why don't you talk to men? And it's for the reasons we just laid out. A lot of the consequences for men are immediate. Self-improvement is necessary for any type of progress we hope to make. You can't do anything if you're not self-improving. You can't make more money. You can't get a better woman. You can't get a woman. or of substance if you are not self-improving. Every law that's been written has been made to punish a man, right? To hold us to account for something we did, right? So that is our measuring stick. You do something, slap on the wrist, throw cuffs on them. You in jail, like you. We have consequences for everything we do, and we must improve to get that off our record somehow. But it's our opinion that causes women to start self-improving. Because I told you in the back, Demetria Obalor, you know, she fine and all of that, but she's making videos now talk about what's wrong with Cheesecake Factory. If they didn't read those comments under that post of us thrashing their ass, like, who the hell do y'all think y'all are? They wouldn't know that, you know, oh, maybe we should chill and you know, pretend like Cheesecake Factory is not too bad for the first date, right? So I just realized now that you got a lot of simp dudes that are out here telling them it's all good. You, oh no, nah, you don't got to do nothing, baby. You good the way you are. Whoop-de-whoop. But they need our actual thoughts and really our criticism for self-improvement. They need it from men to know how to be better for us and for themselves.
The models just entered the building, JR. So one thing that kind of came across my mind is I find it interesting that nobody brought up yet the fact that a woman's measurement of a man being a good man, because obviously we just did this entire breakdown of women, and I never randomly hear that she uses her father as a barometer to measure the qualities that he exhibits that she's hoping to find in a mate. Honest, integrity, hardworking, consistent. You know what I'm saying? Leadership, masculinity, right? It's never led with any of those types of things, right? The hallmarks that really become essential and very to carve out family, to carve out fruitful relationships, really, right? And the things that we highlight are the things that we need in women. You know, the things that are important to us, but also important for nurturing a family, because we understand those key components. You know what I'm saying? For all those, you know, who grew up in a two-parent household, a single-parent household, you know the ingredients that are needed in order to allow that to be successful, right? And I think far too often, going back to the original premise of what we started is, you know, is culture shaping our wants, needs, and desires, right? And I think for a lot of people, unfortunately, it is, because they get what they thought that they want, and then they realize it, and then they don't want it anymore, because they know that it doesn't really serve them internally, and certainly not for the long term either. How are you?
All right, I'm gonna go to B Madden. I'm not sure if you see the video.
I didn't see the video, but I've heard a few guys' response.
Okay,
but no,
yeah.
I didn't see the video.
Okay, so basically, it was just, you know, women that say that they are good women.
Yeah, I mean, you know, kind of echoing what some of the guys were saying. I mean, there's no real barometer for that. I mean, everything is going off of how they feel, and right now in this culture, and predominantly, I'm saying women because predominantly women are the ones guilty of it. Is everyone's a 10, you know, always helping another girl's self-esteem. That's all it's really about. It's all about, no matter how you look, no matter where you are in life, no matter what you accomplished or hadn't accomplished, any girl in your circle, any woman that passes by you, they're going to say you're awesome and you're greatest and you're wonderful. And I think those are good things to tell people, you know, because you want to give kindness back to people. You want to make everyone feel good about themselves, but there's no real measure for being a good woman in this society right now, and how things have been going. Especially everything is so social media driven, everything is so TV driven, everything is so, you know, how do I look today? How do I look right now? How do I look? It's just a different level of that. And women have always been big on their looks. This is one of, the things that they are focused on, which they should be, because that's what we judge them on. But I think it's really important that, I think Luis had hit a good point when it comes to women having a barometer from their father. And what I've noticed is that a lot of women the men that they end up dating or end up being in serious relationships with or end up marrying are the guys that were able to be honest with them and tell them the truth about them. Yeah, the players, with the mouthpieces that spread the lies and say whatever they need to say just to get in their draws is going to get them at first. But the ones they end up with are the ones that's like, babe, you need to work on that. Or like, hun, you got to really think about that, or we need to put a plan together or something. Like you popping off the gums, talking about all these wonderful things you're going to do, but haven't accomplished yet. Let's sit down and like get a plan together right here, right now. We're going to sit down. We're going to plan this shit out and get you to where you need to be, instead of just frivolously talking about things, because your homegirl talked about it, or you saw somebody on YouTube talk about it, or someone on Instagram talking about it, and you kind of liked it. Either you're going to put up or shut up, and we're going to make it happen overnight, and you're going to be able to tell what type of person that is, what type of woman you're dealing with. If they know how to overcome objections, are they able to fight through things? I've personally had a lot of success with women that have been athletes in the past, that played sports, because that is one measurement that us guys understand, is that winning and losing. There's always going to be a winner. There's always going to be a loser. And if you lost, how are you going to learn from losing the next time so that you win? How are you going to fix the inefficiencies that you might have had, the deficiencies that you had as a team and as an individual? How are you going to change your mechanics? How are you going to change your attitude? And they learn how to win, and then you learn how to lose in an admirable way, but you also know what that burning sensation feels like, so you don't want to experience that again. So I think young girls that were athletes at one point, maybe went to high school or college and played athletics, they kind of have a better understanding of what being good is, and having some type of blueprint to go off of, or having an idea what achievement is. And also women that are, successful business owners as well. Like they know they're good at what they do. Does that make them a good woman? I don't know, but it makes them good at business, or makes them a good athlete, or makes them good at bouncing back, or anything like that. But I think people in general, aside from just men and women, I think all people like to think of themselves in the light of, I'm a good person. So I think you have to look at that first, and then you dive deeper from there. I'm gonna land there.
Yeah. I want to say this before we move on. One of the things you got to be mindful too is your family, because your family will sell you some dreams too about yourself. I remember when I was younger, like my mom, I would never talk to my mom about relationships, but she can kind of tell when something is bothering me. And even though I knew it was my fault, she's already giving me false hope. You can do better than that. I haven't even told you the story. But by default, because I'm your son, you're going to tell me that I'm in the green. So you really got to be careful with family as well. That's the reason why the reason why he's my best friend is because I know he's going to tell me the truth no matter what. He had told me about myself a lot of times, and that's who I need around me. I don't need somebody that's just going to agree with me, that's going to play into whatever it is, because how can I get better if I have people just telling me what I want to hear, or what I need to hear, or what's going to make me feel good? So that's what I value.
And Lapeef, real quick, I just want to say, and I think in general, this is just across the board, I think women in this country have been coddled way too much. They've been coddled way too much from the truth. And too many people have had their own agendas, and as in why they've been coddled so much. You've got parents that have their agendas on coddling those women, those girls, is because they just want to help get them through. Maybe it's a problem they don't want to deal with. You've got boyfriends or guys that coddle them because they tell them what they want to hear just so they can get the draws, or just so that they don't have to deal with their mouth or deal with any issues or make them think too much. You might have some friends that keep them in that place just because they want them to go along with them and agree with them all the time and just do what whoever the main leader of the group is wants them to do. They don't want them to have a spine. They don't want them to have a backbone. They don't want them to be in a position to like, you know what? No, I don't agree with what you're doing. And no, I don't have the same moral compass as you do. And I think what you're doing is kind of messed up. And I think we should, I'm gonna go left. You want to go right, that's your business, but I'm gonna go left. Yeah, so I think women in general have been coddled too much. And I think women should be protected, but I think they've been coddled too much in general. And their heads and all the different things have been inflated way too much in general.
All right. We're going to get to these super chats so we get to the main topic. Just hear me out. I did that one already. AP accountability partner. Shout out to the panel and the Lapeef Network. Necessary conversations. Brother Marcus on point, my dude. The genuine article. I thank everybody that has contributed to the platform. Shout out to all my green gangers in the chat. Lauren Mack, I see you. Let me see who else like Torrance Moore, BZ, all my green gang. Let's get to the main topic of the night, which is being a dad for daughters is the greatest blessing and the worst curse. Go ahead and play this clip. It's real short from Stephen A. Smith.
Dad for daughters, it's the greatest blessing and the worst curse. Because the blessing is you didn't know what love is until you thought you knew what love was. And then they came along and now you know what real love is. The curse is you didn't know what love is until they came along. So you're never at peace, you're always worried. You're worried about everything. You worry about everything. Dad for daughters, being a dad for daughters, it's the greatest blessing and the worst curse. Because the blessing is you didn't know what love is until you thought you knew what love was. And then they came along and now you know what real love is. The curse is you didn't know what love is until they came along. So you're never at peace, you're always worried. You're worried about everything. You worry about everything.
All right, let's go ahead and get into it. The main topic of the night, being a dad for daughters is the greatest blessing and the worst curse. Go ahead and start with you first, Marcus. What are your thoughts?
So like I think he couldn't be more right. The feeling you have when your kids, when you see your child born, is undescribable, right? It changes your perspective on reality, on life and death. It's undescribable, right? It's incredible. It's incredible. And if you weren't a man before that day, if you have any conscience about you, you will become a man after that. I remember being worried that I wasn't going to be able to be a good father for girls because I don't know, I wouldn't know how to relate to them. I wouldn't know how to instruct them. I was worried about karma, actually. I was worried that some of the stuff, throughout my life with women was going to come back tenfold through my children, right? So on the curse side, I that worry is real. I still worry about that. I try and do everything I can to be the most active father possible, to do reason and rationale and critical think and discuss things with them and actually have dialogue so they can feel open and come and talk to me about stuff as they get older. They don't have to. All of that is an attempt for that worst curse to not hit me, right? Outside of the love I have for them. But I think you 100% right. Yo, all kids, but daughters in particular, right? You have a different relationship with them, and you just want the best for them. I'm kind of like at a loss of words when I think about it because there is no word that exists for me to describe how much I love my kids. The word love don't really describe it. So yeah, I'm at a loss for words when it comes to that. But it's a great blessing, but it is a worse curse because you got to worry about all the. Like with a son, you only got to worry about his penis. With a daughter, you got to worry about all the rest of them that exist in the world. And that bothers me. My grandfather came and told me, like, don't kill nobody behind your daughter. That's the first thing he said when I told him I was having a girl. Don't kill no, what he called me Weston. Don't kill nobody behind your daughter. Then I had another one. He was just like, well, you only got one life, so you better choose wisely. That's exactly what he told me. Yeah, but
that's real. That's real, Marcus.
Hey, he funnier than that thing. I love my grandfather. Shout out to real. But yeah, no, it's definitely a gift and a curse. Because by loving something that much, you can also lose the thing you love that much, and that hurt. That's gonna hurt anybody. So I 100% agree with him.
All right, go ahead, Trev.
Well, fortunately, I was blessed with a daughter and a son, so I could absolutely speak to them being very different experiences, right? Having a son is having a daughter is great, and it's very different because you just have a fear when you're talking about your right. My daughter's just became a teenager 2 months ago, so it's like there's so many things that you have to worry about, right? You are worried about her being someone's prey, right? You know, just her going out, just walking to school, you know of the dangers, right? And then me being a former scumbag, I also know about the dudes that she has to worry about, right? So we know what it is that we used to do to try to get with these women out here. So there's so many things you have to prepare her for this. You know, you have to know, you have to tell her how these men are going to talk and the things that they're going to say and the things that they're going to do and how they're going to try to coax her into what it is that they want her to do, right? And you understand that women are more emotional and you feel the need to protect them, but you don't want to smother them either, right? You can't shelter them because that's the worst thing when you give them too much coverage, which I also am familiar with. I was pretty sheltered earlier, and then what happened when I turned 18, all of that tension built up like a rubber band, and then as soon as I turned 18 and they couldn't really stop me, it was like, phew, I'm in the world now, and I just started bugging, and took a very long time for me to stop. So it's a delicate balance, right? But it's the most scary thing. So I can see why they could say it's a curse. I would say it's more of a gift because I wouldn't trade it for anything, but it's just a very scary thought knowing what you have to protect her from.
All right. Go ahead, Trigger Mike.
All right. One thing that I think comes to my mind, and especially in the Black community, we got to stop worshiping women and our daughters. If I say my daughter is my greatest blessing with my son standing right there, what did I just tell him? You know what I mean?
You the second greatest blessing.
We need to stop the look at the behavior. We are to blame for that shit. We are to blame. So let me start by saying children are a blessing, son or daughter. And you have a different way that you have an outlook for the lives of your son and your daughter. You believe and you worry different about your son and your daughter. For some reason, I spend almost no time, no mental capacity thinking about how my son is going to turn out. It's almost automatic that fathers will just create a version of themselves, right? I put my son through the gauntlet. He can't even do the same things his sister does. He gets a different type of punishment already because I understand how to make another version of me the way I'm sure my father knew how to make another version of himself. But it's my daughter that I'm worried about. How is another man going to come into her life and it affect decisions that she makes? It affects the way she submits and sees the world. So yes, that is where it is your greatest curse. Because and I don't think my wife fully understands, and I don't think she actually needs to. That's what I'm here for. I worry that it's when they say greatest curse, I realize that if we don't teach our daughters to be virtuous women who are attractive to competent men that can facilitate dreams, those women may become a burden to us in old age. I don't know if y'all watch my show, but Payne, our Payne has 2 daughters and he's in his 60s. And he's saying out of his own mouth, damn, who's going to take care of them when I'm not here since they're not married? Right? So you have to think about that. It's going to weigh on you very hard. I think about that right now. I have to be aggressive and intentional about making sure she knows she goes to her mother to the stove to learn how to cook, not only for herself, so her children won't be obese. This has long-standing implications down the line. And when a man is looking for a woman to build something with, she's the most attractive option. I worry about that simply because I don't want her to be a burden to me, and I don't want her to be unprotected in this world. Do you know that if we are in a situation like Israel or Palestine, the worst thing to be in America would be a black man because we have so many unprotected women? They would all flock to the most competent men they know. I would have so many women in my, I can't take care of them all. I can't. So we got to think about our daughters that way. Like, who is going to protect her if I can't? What does my squad look like? How many competent men can I pull together because they've all dedicated their lives to the provision of these girls that I put into this world? That's what I actually think about. That is a curse on my mind every single day. What moves can I make to make sure she is the most attractive option, that she is not only protected by him or by a capable man, but that he is providing for her and the children that they put on this earth? We all worry about that every day. I don't know about y'all if y'all got daughters or not, though.
All right. Go ahead, Cloud Jones.
Honestly, on this one, there's not really much I can add because I don't have no kids, so I really don't have no perspective on this like at all. When I have kids, I'll be able to answer, but I don't got none. So
Okay. You got any sisters?
yeah, but all my sisters are older, so they've never like been in a position where I had to be responsible for them.
Okay. Go ahead, brother Hank.
Well, I mean, I was a great blessing and the worst curse. I mean, damn. So my daughter forced me to have more patience, to be more understanding. She forced that on me. I had to grow up because I had my daughter when I was 20. I was a sophomore in college, and she forced me to grow up fast. It was a reality check for me. Unfortunately, I missed her first year, or about first year and a half, because I thought, I'm going to the league. I'm going to play NFL. Went to my junior year, I realized, this ain't gonna happen. I need to go and get my goddamn degree and come out with something to have my paper. So, because like I said, I believe in education, so I can have my paper, so I can present to my daughter and encourage her to do the same thing. But like I said, her being born just forced me to make a lot of changes. You know what I'm saying? I couldn't correct her like I did my son. I can't go out there and tell, let's go on outside, you tough guy. Let's go for a fur. Well, I couldn't tell her that. I have to give her a certain look to let her know I'm serious. But like Mark said, the curse part is I had to worry about all these penises that could be possibly trying to take advantage of her. So, that's the curse part of it. Another thing is it forced me to have the version of beast conversation way earlier than I want to when she was in 6th grade, because I seen what happened at the school I was substitute at. Kids in the 5th grade got caught having sex in the bathroom. So now I'm forced to have this conversation. I don't know if she's totally mature and ready to handle it, but I'm not going to be in a situation where hear about my daughter getting in that situation. No, I'm not. So I need to have this conversation as soon as possible. So those type of things I had to deal with. I had custody of my daughter when she was in the 5th grade all the way up till she was a freshman in high school. That was a challenge because now I had to deal with, I got the opportunity to deal with when she started her menstrual. It was kind of difficult, challenging, because I never had to go and shop for the female things for her. But I was forced to do such. Now, fortunately enough, I was married at the time, so I had some assistance and some help. But still, it still was uncomfortable to even have the conversation about that with her, because I had to make sure I was present at the table when we had that conversation with about it's okay what you're going through. You know, that all of that is an uneasy feeling as a man. But another thing is she came home one time with a hickey on her neck. And so me and her mother had to have a conversation about putting her on birth control. So when she was in 8th grade, we put her on birth control. I told her, I don't want you to be in the same situation me and your mother was, a young parent. I don't want to be a grandfather while you still in high school. We're not doing this. So those conversations was difficult and challenging, especially as a man, but I knew they was necessary and they needed to be had. So me and her mother decided to put her on birth control. So yeah, these are little things that are cursed that I have to deal with as far as having a daughter. Now the blessings, you know, is a lot of blessings. Getting to, you know, seeing her in a prom, going to a graduation, junior prom, senior prom, getting to participate in all those events. You know, I was looking forward to that because I said, in about 5-10 years from now, she's going to be getting married, and I'm gonna get the opportunity to walk her down the aisle. So, you know, those are the blessings that is for having a daughter. So I agree with what Mike's saying. Talk about penalizing your daughter. I definitely understand that, and I told them, and they still get mad at me. You remember you told us we wasn't a prize? I said, yeah, you damn right. You still not. You still not the prize, and that's okay. But you're gonna be the best the wife you can be for your husband. So at the end of the day, he's going to treat you like one, but you're not.
How do you know she's getting married in 5 years?
Well, she ended up getting married in 5 years.
Wait, you said she's getting married in 5 years from today?
No, she's married now.
Oh, back then she got married 5 years later.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
I got you.
All right. Go ahead, Luis.
Yeah, just as a FYI, I am not a father. I do not have any children, but however, I do live vicarious through y'all. One thing that I would say is we tend to participate, cultivate, and champion behind a culture that we claim to love today, only to turn around and be very defensive, protective of our young daughters, for those who have daughters, right? If we're creating and cultivating the type of culture and environment in society that we want to see our children live and thrive, then we need to champion the things that we could feel comfortable for them to go out into the world and be safe and feel safe, right? Obviously we live in very uncertain times and unstable times today, but I think that has a lot to do with, you know, a lot of base decisions that are constantly occurring, you know, decisions within, you know, politics, decisions, and even in our own communities, right? I think a lot of those shape the environment in which I think people's children live in, especially young girls. It's kind of hard to put into words how I'm trying to phrase this, but I think if that component changes, I think we will feel a little bit different, or at least we wouldn't have the level of anxiety that a lot of men have when they have daughters, right? Because we automatically jump to the deep end and think about the worst possible outcomes because of what's currently happening out here.
All right. Go ahead, B Madden.
Yeah. So, okay. First off, Team Grow Dad over here. Salutes all the fellas with daughters up here on the panel. I have a little one. She is 10 years old. She's in the 5th grade. So, you know, listening to Hink, you know, I definitely can identify a lot of what you went through and dealt with and all that as well, because mine is going through it right now. Actually, mine just started her menstrual for the first time. So, Yeah. That was interesting. So it's I've got a long road, but daughters being the greatest blessing, I agree 1,000%. She is literally the light of my life. I mean, straight up, she is the best thing that ever happened to me. She's sweet as pie, you know. She, put me in a position to where, I had to grow up for sure. I grew up real quick. I became more of a man a lot faster because, you know, she in my world is love personified, in real life. What I've experienced with her emotionally and everything, I never knew that type of love before that. But she also put me in a position to where, I really had to sit down, slow down, and, really be aware of my actions and what I was doing and the type of women I was dealing with and dating and how I treated women as well too. Like my treatment of women changed like that. I mean, I'm talking about, respect level went way higher than what it was. The type of women I dealt with changed for sure. Just the character and all that type of stuff. So, just not lying, not just saying whatever came out of my mouth. I mean, it was just being more straight up front, and keeping it real. But no, she's awesome. She's amazing. She's changed my life for the better. When it comes to the worst curse part, I think everybody on the panel kind of said it, the biggest curse of it all is one, you're worried about all the guys that will come, all the male attention that will come. I just make sure that I focus on preparing my daughter the best way possible, to deter any type of behavior that is not like her father's. That behavior that doesn't treat her like she's with the utmost respect, and that she's treated in the sense of she knows when someone's being genuine and someone's there, has good energy and that type of stuff, and who's not. Giving her that level of discernment, giving her that level of confidence. Thing about girls is that they just need to be loved, they need to be poured into, and they need to know that they're enough. And when fathers do that in a very intentional way, and then put them up on game as well too, and just let them know, what's real. You let them know what's real. You let them know, like we were talking about in the previous segment, what a good woman is. You're pouring into your daughter what you feel as though a good woman is, and making sure that she has those attributes of not only just being a good person in this life, being a good worker, also being, giving her the tools to where she can be an effective wife and mother as well too. I think those are the best things we can do. Not coddle them too much, but protect them, shield them, but love them, but also share them the truth so that they can make informed decisions, and so that they're not in the dark. Because when they're in the dark and we shield everything from them, that's when you have the issues, because they think because when they're young, they think they're untouchable. They can get away with anything. Oh, daddy's got me. No big deal. If I screw up, he's going to clean it up for me. And daddy can't clean up everything. Daddy can't fix everything. Now, granted, I'm going to stand beside her, but she needs to know that there are consequences, and she needs to know that as she grows, this is her life. And she's going to have a level of ownership of that. The other thing I also be mindful of is that for what we're doing right now on this platform is that we're pouring into young brothers on, how they should move forward in life and how they should, become better men and whatnot. I might be talking to the knucklehead right now who might end up dating my daughter in the future, so you're just more mindful of what we're pouring into our young men, into our young boys, because they're the ones that are going to be dating our daughters. They're the ones that are going to marry our daughters. So we have to leave some type of legacy, of course, with our daughters, but with the young men too, that to make sure that they're fit to take care of our daughters once we're gone and once we're no longer able. Me personally, my daughter always gonna be straight. She always gonna have somewhere to be, somewhere to lay her head. She always gonna have some money. She ain't gotta worry about that. But she's gonna work and she's gonna know how to get it herself, aside from all the things I'll have set up for her. But we have to make sure we point into our young brothers as well, so that they don't end up in a bad situation.
All right. Go ahead, Marcus. You're on mute, so you know.
Yeah, I got a question for the men on the panel, right? With the daughters. So, like right now, we modeling the behavior that we would like our daughters to experience and be treated as women, right? Do y'all worry that your daughter will seek the type of man that you are now, but she'll find them at a pre-25 age? Because the man I am now, I'm more than happy with my daughter dating and marrying or whatever, right? But the energy that I carry is still the same energy probably as the boy. She's probably gonna resonate more with the young playboy than the latter. I might not be phrasing that right, but you understand what I'm asking, right?
Yeah.
If not, I could clarify it.
I don't.
Basically, would she date a younger version of yourself?
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if they're always dating the younger playboy. We know what they're doing with them, but I don't know if they're always dating them. They tend to go after versions of their fathers, and it seems like the younger people just can't make the sacrifices to make the relationship work. But I actually want my daughter to meet. I got to be true to what I'm saying. I want her to meet at that exact age, 23, 24, 25. Because if the average age of first marriage for a woman is 29.7, these people aren't meeting at 29, they're meeting at 25 or younger, right? So they got really one shot to get it right. And the reason I want that is because we keep forgetting, of course, he has to have good morals, values, and characters and be grounded in that and be intentional about, being better than that for the rest of his life, for his family that he wants to create. But we keep forgetting that I'm a large part of that relationship too. Bring that boy, bring him over here. You see what I'm saying? Interface with me. Come shooting with me. Let's talk about life. What are your goals for your family? Like, we keep forgetting that fathers are supposed to be a huge part of their daughters' relationships. They just found a way to isolate us out of it so we couldn't see the poor choices they make. But that's what I plan to do.
Trigger Mike, I feel you on that, but the truth is, bro, when they really be feeling somebody, they're gonna sneak and do whatever they need to do because the aura done call them. You know what I'm saying?
That's
so you
true.
can't really.
But do you also think? Well, here's my criticism of that. We have so many punk ass daddies that aren't checking in on what their daughters are doing. So because I've given too much flack to women and mothers when I realized that these girls that were dressing crazy, their dad was right there next to them the whole time. They didn't say shit. You know what I mean? So I ain't no punk ass daddy. You naturally, I know what you're saying though, Marcus. When you say these girls are doing whatever, the one thing that she will always know is how her dad felt about it. And we also got to remember when women were behaving, it was when fathers were not acquiescing. I'm not yielding. I told you what I expect from you. If you defy me, listen, I have to love my daughter enough to risk being hated by her. If she gets pregnant out of wedlock, I'm not going to the fucking baby shower. You see what I'm saying? Well, when the last time you heard a father say that shit? Because that's not what we do around here, right?
That's real. I agree.
I gotta show some fortitude. If this is not a dude of good character, and you bring him around my house and he's not making eye contact when he shakes my hand, and he's low, what do they say, low vibrational? I don't approve of this. You do what you want. It's your life. Don't bring him around here no more. That shit hurts. That shit hurts.
It cuts some deep. Yeah. It cuts some deep.
Yep.
I'm sure she's gonna be hurt, but my question would be, shit, like you might silo her off in a situation that could be worse than so. Because all right, so say she in a situation with a dude you disapprove of, right? and you say, I'm not coming to the baby shower, I'm completely removing myself from this situation based off you doing things that I don't agree with. Do you then put her in more jeopardy? Because now this dude have rough shot to do whatever he want with no interference. Because now you completely out of the loop.
I've already failed at that point, Marcus. I've already
That's
failed.
fair. That's fair.
I've already failed.
Marcus, real quick with this.
Hold on, Trev. Let me just take on
it. It
it.
was just a question. I don't know what I would do in that scenario. I'm just posing a question.
Yeah, I'm gonna come back to you, Trev. Let me get Shannon. Now, go ahead, Shannon. I answer the question being a dad.
No, let them cook, man. I don't have any daughters, so I don't really have much to input. I'm actually learning.
Okay. All right. Go ahead, Trev.
Yeah, so a lot of what B. Madden was talking about was dead on point, man. Like just a lot of the things he mentioned about how you have to interact with your daughter. You have to pour into her. You have to instill value into her, right? She needs to hear that she is beautiful from you on a regular basis. So she's not lacking these things. A lot of the people, listen, I'm going to tell you that the females who were the most troublesome as one of them guys, right? The women who had prominent father figures were the most troublesome. There's the ones you'd be like, nah, she gonna be too much of a headache. You just fly by it. You'd be like, man, listen, like I'm out, man. Like it's not even worth the headache. You know what I'm saying? Just because of what you're trying to do. This would be great for somebody to wife. But if that's not what the mode you on, then you're not gonna go ahead and waste all the time, because you could take down like 10 other females by the time you invest in that one. So if you're not in wife them up mode, you're not gonna do it. You know what I'm saying? So it's just about the foundation, right? Once you and the main thing that I didn't hear really mentioned yet was keeping that open line of communication. She has to feel comfortable talking to you, not in a way where it's friend, because they have to understand authority. But you can't be judgmental about every single thing. There has to be some type of a balance where they feel comfortable. When you finish talking with them, they should be in a better place. They should feel like they were really explained the situation, have a great understanding of it, all the examples in the world. I always break down context, right? And I feel like it's going to be how much you know. If you got game, then you could give your daughter game. It's a lot of dudes out here with no game. They can't offer their daughter game if they wasn't one of them guys. I'm sorry. So she's going to be at a disadvantage off the rip. That's why a lot of them had the problems. If he's not intelligent, you can't make an intelligent daughter. It's tough. You can tell her to study, but if you can't help her, what you going to do? These are certain things. I'm trying to make sure she's prepared, well-rounded. She's been cooking since she was like pretty much a toddler. Straight honor roll. Runs track, does whatever. Like she's studious. She do anything, man. Well-rounded. Reads like crazy, right? Everything, but still social. Still in the art. Still in the other things. So it's like, listen, I'm building a catch with the help of my wife, of course. So we're not accepting nothing, but she understands her value. She's not conceited. She's extremely humble because she understands. Sometimes you just got to take things away from people. You have to let them feel it. You can't spoil them. You have to balance everything. But the more well-rounded of an individual you are and the more game you put her on, she's going to be fine. I'm worried about people just that are like serious predators. But as far as her dealing with men and stuff like that, I mean, I don't worry about that nearly as much because I know that I instill values in her from a young child, and I'm there. I'm involved. That's the big difference. A lot of these dudes check out, or maybe they were pushed out, cut off because of the mother didn't want anything to do with them, or they might be just keeping the son because they just want to spite him because they hate him. They want to ruin the children's lives. All that stuff happens. Fortunately, it didn't happen to me. I'm in the house with my daughter, so them boys ain't gonna get her.
Yeah, I got a question for the dudes who don't have daughters, because you still have stake in the convo. Where do you think modern dads went wrong? What do you think a lot of women are lacking that their fathers specifically should have taught them and been responsible for teaching them? Like, I can see it clear as day. First off. Let me start. I'm sad. That was rude of me. Let me start. Any woman that does not have what I would say, any woman that does not acknowledge you as a dick-carrying member of society, like they have not, I'm not even gonna say respect. I have found that a lot of modern women do not even care to show common decency or courtesy to a man or his existence. That is I think largely in part due to many of them not having fathers in their house. They don't even understand. Let me tell you, the women that came out of my house, for instance, right? I could see a lot of them, if y'all can remember, when men do something like they wave it off like, that's just men. That's just boys being boys. I feel like a lot of modern women were deprived of that experience. They have no idea what men being men or boys being boys actually means. They have no idea. So everything annoys them. Everything is you're low vibrational. They have no idea how we actually are. So they have to cultivate us all as bandits or struggle demons or whatever word they're using today. It's weird to me.
Well,
go ahead.
Answer Mike's question. I'm gonna answer what Mark saying. Well, I had to cut my daughter off as far as letting her wash clothes at my house. I had to cut her off. I said, look, you're not gonna wash no grown ass man's clothes at my house. You got a man now. You need to take your ass to a goddamn laundromat. I'll allow you to use my facility because it was you and you know, you and you only. But when I seen a man's pair of drawers, hell, take your ass to the laundromat and you can't use no more of my detergent or none of that shit. Buy your own shit. We're not doing this.
Well, hey, have that man buy that shit for you. If you have I think it's big. If you have a man in your life, your daughter has a male in her life, he needs to be taking care of shit. Like you're covering her and just her. And when
that's
you
why
cover
I told him, take that to the laundromat, B. Take right. You're not washing no more in my house.
No, I agree with you, Hank. What I'm saying, I'm telling everybody else at home and everything too, is that you want to cover your daughter and your daughter only, but then when she has a man in her life, you're covering her because she has no protection in this world. You're covering her because she has no male energy or protection that's with her all the time. Now, when she has a man that hopefully you've met and vetted or whatever, this is a precursor to or a preview of what the hell he's going to have to be doing with your daughter. So he's going to have to cover stuff when it comes to food, or something's I'm a little short on something, or the laundry, or he want her to do things for him and this and that. Hey, bro, man, you need to handle that shit. You dating my daughter? Where your cash at, buddy? What you doing? You in school? You got a job? What you doing, man? Because if you're gonna be with mine, you need to be covering her too. You need to make sure she's good. You know, but at the end of the day, I'm not talking about that. She's always gonna be good here, and I'm sure same thing with Hank. But we're not doing that shit. That's not.
Yeah, but ain't it too late now? Like what you describing? And see, this is where I was saying before. Like I think a year ago, or maybe the first year we started King Talk, I was saying if I had a daughter, run that nigga through me. You know,
right.
She'll be covered at all times. And I used to get pushed back, and I think this is back when Trill was here, and I think Hubble Dad. I used to get in these. We would go in these little small back and forths about how I felt that I would potentially raise a daughter, but now we're speaking on that, and what you said just now is saying, you know what you gonna do? Step up. But should he even be there to begin with? For you to have that conversation with him later, if the vetting process was already in place, you wouldn't have to worry about that. Yes or no? So it sounds like what you described be madness damage control. It's like, oh damn, she's at the house washing this nigga drawers and using up all my damn Tide and all my fabric softeners and shit, and this motherfucker at the house chilling watching the game. It's like, what the fuck is going on? But isn't that something that should have been addressed before they got to the point that she's washing his drawers in your washing machine, which will never happen over here. But I'm just saying.
Damn, Shannon, you use Tide? You use expensive ass Tide?
I use
some pods, huh?
I want you to take Tide HG.
What do y'all use? But go ahead.
Yeah, I use Tide HG. It's my thing. But no, you're right. But that's how I got introduced. I said, well, hold on. oh, who's these boys' underwear? What we doing? And then I said, I need to talk to this dude. So the next day she brought him over. We had a conversation. I mean, I don't know why she was afraid of me to meet him. He was all right dude. He was a decent dude. And who she married. So he was a good dude. I mean, but I told her, I said, look, financially, y'all gonna struggle right now because y'all ain't really gotten too much. And I told you I would do what I can to help you. But that's of course before she, she's in a relationship. I said, y'all better take your ass to the goddamn Goodwill and get some furniture and shit and start off that way if you got to. I that's what I did. There's nothing wrong with that. You just now starting off. Yeah, it's gonna be rough, but y'all be fine. As long as y'all there for each other, respect each other, and take care of each other, y'all be fine. But yeah, I mean, once I met him, he's a good dude. But I told him, for now, you gotta go to the laundromat. I appreciate him, I respect him, but you ain't coming to my house watching another grown ass man's underwear in my house.
Hank, I got a question for you too. Big Man, I want you to answer that question for me. But Hank,
yeah,
after Big Madden, let me know. If you don't mind me asking, I'm curious how old your daughter is and how much older or equal age is her husband. And I want to talk about age gap dating afterwards. Go ahead, Big Man.
They the same. They the same age. My daughter's 27 now, so he's 27. Well, he's 26. But he'll be 27 next month.
All right, I got a question for you then. All right, go ahead, Big Man.
Okay. No, to answer your question real fast, what I was saying was really as a reaction to what Hank was saying, and what I would be doing, because I, kind of what Trigger Mike was saying and what Trev was saying, I want to bring back the courting. I want to bring that back. The more traditional courting of, yeah, you're gonna, meet my daughter, this and that, but I'm gonna be a part of that decision, or I'm gonna be involved somehow to where that she feels confident enough and strong enough to bring a good candidate to me so I can vet him out and let her know, what the real is. And like, oh, he's a good dude, or like, nah, he ain't it, honey. Sorry. Because I'm telling you right now, my baby is a daddy's girl through and through. And I'm really pouring heavy into her. And she's going to know what to look for. She's going to know and understand what to look for. And that I've been that male figure in her life that she knows where safety is, where consistency is, where love is, and all that type of stuff. So those are conversations I'm going to have with her. Mine's in the 5th grade. Mine's only 10, but we're slowly. I guess she just had her menstrual like last month for the first time. So we're slowly going down that direction. And that's how I'm raising her and plan on raising her in that way when it comes to dating. But when it comes to the age and all that kind of stuff, what Marcus was sitting on, I want to prepare my daughter to where she might end up marrying a college sweetheart, that she's in that age range, that 21, 22, 23 college sweetheart, someone she started dating fresh out of college, like at that age. I want to prepare her for that, because that's where I've seen a lot more success tends to come when you're dating someone in that range or in that age, and that she's prepared to be a wife or to be a mother and that kind of stuff. And she's got her education and that type of stuff. And again, already vetted the dude, and I feel comfortable and good with the dude as well.
Okay, so that's a great segue. Because college age dating, listen, it's 2023 going into 2024. Current economy, kids cannot buy homes in the neighborhood they grew up in. We know what's coming. We see the road. We know what's coming down the road. We see the disparity between men and women and the dating issues. We understand divorce rates, all this shit that we didn't have to worry about 30 years ago. For you fathers that have daughters, I want to hear from Trigger Mike. I want to hear from Hink, who's currently have a daughter who's 27, and she married a 27-year-old. Do you think it's prudent for a daughter today, in today's modern times and the things that we're going through today, to be with somebody who, as Hink said, the struggle of that young struggle of it, and we washing, but daddy, we need to use your washing machine because he just got that new job and he's gonna get his promotion one day, and then one day we'll buy our own washer and dryer, but we don't even have a hookup at our apartment right now. And so daddy, can we come over and wash our drawers at home? Or
Nope.
is it better for you? Is it or in hindsight for Hink or foresight for brothers like B Madden, would you rather your daughter marry somebody who had his shit together already?
Nope. I'll
Gap
take the
dating.
first one, Chief.
So with me, as long as he's look, I understand financially he wasn't going to be together, and like I said at the time they was 23. They got married when he was 23, so they're 4 years in now. So I knew right then, but I still took care of her because guess what? I ended up helping this young man to get a job, a government job where I work at. So now they good. He's making real good money now. They in a good place now. Now I'm working on them toward getting a house. That's what I'm encouraging them to do because they still stay in an apartment. But I'm trying to encourage them to get a home now and make that investment. But no, as far as age gap dating, I never had a conversation with her about that. I don't have a problem with them struggling at the time. I said it's going to build character with them because now you're building with your man. You're not used to having all these lavish things. I never bless you with these lavish things, so that what you expected. So now she's a simple person. She's not a materialistic person, so that's a benefit for him because of what we see out here now. These women are materialistic. She would have been flipping over in a seat talking about taking the cheesecake during that time. They was barely getting McDonald's. You know what I'm saying? But it is what it is.
How old are you talking on the age gap dating, Shannon? Out of curiosity.
Yeah, what you talking, Shan? I need to get more
He
of a
talking his age.
clear
He talking
definition
his
of
age.
10 years.
Hell
Or
no.
don't,
Hell no.
10 years. I'm saying,
Look at that beard.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to shoot you.
About
Not
47.
your
About
ass.
47.
Nah, they ain't working,
that's what they
Shan.
all say until their daughters are getting taken care of a different way. I'm saying 10 years. I'm saying that you got a young guy who's 32 years old, who graduated college maybe 4 or 5 years ago. He's already a junior at his business. He got shit together, and your daughter's 22. She's 22. He's 32. Is that an issue? Would you or would you rather her date a young 22-year-old that you hope that he's going to stay around when he grows up? Would you pray for a 22-year-old? Would you rather vet a 32-year-old where you can have some kind of semblance with him as to where he is in life and where he's going?
I got an answer for you. I would say
it's always different when I talk to fathers of daughters.
So
and
if,
and I know how
I'll go ahead first.
So a 32-year-old young, well, I can't say young man, a 32-year-old man, as long as he acts like he's 32 and not like he's 22, I'm okay with that. I can handle that.
Well, but that's my point. See, so a 22-year-old is going to act like a 22-year-old, and you pray that he'll act like a 32-year-old in 10 years, whereas a 32-year-old you can determine right now. But I'm curious, Trigger, you said no, right? You said hell no.
No, I didn't. No, I said I'm talking about your age. Hell no, but I actually advocate.
Because I
actually advocate. Hold on. I advocate for that 10-year age gap. 10 years.
Oh, you do? Okay.
I actually advocate for the 10-year age gap. What I will say is I wouldn't let a 29-year-old marry my 19-year-old, but I'd let a 32-year-old marry my 22-year-old. Because, I have a culture of excellence in my house where I want her to do certain things so she could be of value and of credit to her family in a certain way, and then the worst part is that super young girls do super stupid things. So it's like, no, Dad, she's too young. Like, no. I'm gonna let you go through life a little bit. Y'all can date. I was about to say y'all can be engaged shit for that whole time. I don't give a damn. But y'all gonna get married right around that time you're done with college. Y'all can figure it out. He should qualify for a house by this time. You know what I mean? All that type of stuff. So no, I actually advocate for that 10-year age gap, and I encourage women because in America the average dating gap is 2 to 3 years. People marry their peers, pretty much too much. And if you look at the world, it's what Luis said it 4 to 5 years on the show. Oh, Luis out, but he dropped the data. It's like 4 to 5 years, and their marriages last longer. Every complaint that women have would actually be solved with age gap dating. Because just imagine, like, oh my God, like, look, my life now would amaze the shit out of a 25-year-old woman. She would walk in this crib and be like, oh my God, look at this paint. Like, it's not that. You see what I'm saying? And just imagine how a woman treats you who thinks you're amazing. That is an excellent way to start a relationship. Not that you're a drag. Not most of the women, modern women today, think they're smarter than the men. That's a
This is
bad
true.
way to start the relationship. So I advocate for that. But what I will say, I'm realistic. Whoever's taking her, I'll work with that. Look, the way we in now, I told you I'm worried about her being a financial burden on my ass. Whoever is taking her, are you sincere? You gonna put a ring on her finger? She going with that dude. That's all I'm saying.
So
Hey, it was
what I would say,
B-Man.
so what I would say to that, Shan, is part of that vetting process is for a father is like, what do you have to bring to my daughter? What are you offering? What do you have, sir? What do you have to offer to take my daughter's hand, to be with my daughter and on
the question you're asking the
permanent
older
basis?
brother, right?
This
is the question you asking the older brother.
We're talking about the older guy right now, but that's pretty much you're asking the young. That's the question you're asking any dude. You're asking that of any dude. Period.
Okay.
It's like, hey, what do you have to offer? What are you bringing here? Are you okay? You're bringing a ring, but what you got? What kind of career are we talking? What kind of money are you bringing? What kind of
we were in class together, but if she's at college and she meet the motherfucker in economics class, economics 205, he bringing the same debt she got, and the same broke ass car, and the same fucking empty credit report, empty Equifax, and empty TransUnion, and an empty Experian report. There ain't shit on it, but maybe one little card, and then he's bringing. I want to get an apartment, and I'm trying to get a job, and I'm working on my resume, just like your daughter.
So the answer to that, in short,
this blanket question that you're asking, you already know the answer for one of them in advance.
So the short answer to that is no, because of all the reasons you just gave, but also she's gonna date. Like that's inevitable. She's gonna date. She's in college. She's gonna be dating dudes. She's gonna be dealing with people. She's got one that she likes. You can date, dude. Y'all got the same econ class. Okay, don't get pregnant. All right? Don't wrap that shit up. Stay on that pill. Whatever you're doing, don't get pregnant. You want to date, dude. That's fine. But y'all not moving in together. You not moving in until we talking like you taking her hand. Now, when it goes to the older dude, it's like, okay, bro, what you offering? What you got? What kind of career you got? What kind of degree you got? What kind of lifestyle can you offer my daughter? That's more so going into with that. And if he's talking like, hey, I want to take her hand, like I want your daughter. Like I because we're a little bit older too, they're a little bit more in that place of I'm ready to build a family. I'm ready for marriage. These young guys aren't necessarily always ready for marriage. That they might want your daughter, they might love your daughter, they might have the best intentions for your daughter, but that don't mean that they ready to get married, really.
Yeah, but B Madden. See, the 33-year-old brother, and I'm curious to hear what Marcus has to say too. Trev, you have a daughter too, right?
Yeah, he's got a daughter.
Okay, I want to hear Trev's point too.
Yeah.
Because see, the 33-year-old brother is going to tell you, well, I just picked up a condo. I got a condo downtown. I've been with this firm for 4 years. I'm on track to become a senior manager. I already have. I got one Mercedes. I have a Mercedes, but I drive a Honda Civic to save gas. But I use the Mercedes, and then I like to travel a little bit. My passport has a few stamps. I've already been to Europe a couple times. That's what the 33 years gonna say, right? But your daughter's gonna be like, but your daughter's like, but I like Johnny from class at 22, and he ain't got none of that. So you, as the father, is saying what to your daughter? For in your case, in 12 years from now, when she's like, I like Johnny who ain't got shit because he makes me feel good. Whereas, Marcus is established and he wants to build a family. He ready to take care of your daughter. He already got a washer and dryer. He ain't gonna come to your house asking for nothing. He don't need to borrow nothing. He's good to go.
Right.
What do you tell your daughter, B Madden? I'm curious, Trev. What are you gonna tell your daughter?
that's when you that's why the process has to come through you. That's why it comes to the father, is because he's able to help with some of these steering of these situations. You have to break it down to your daughter. You have to help her understand. I mean, let's just be real. Your daughter's not bringing two men to you and saying, both these dudes want me, I'm interested in both of them. That's not happening. You know, most of the time, she's gonna be bringing you one dude at a time. If you were able to pour into her the way that you plan on to, and all those other things. But she's not coming at you like, Daddy, should I go with the 33-year-old or the 22-year-old? That's not. If she loving the econ dude that hard, she's not bringing the 33-year-old dude. She up on econ dude's jock heavy right then. But that's our job, to help mentor and show her the way and say, hey, there's certain things dads can see the whole picture. There's certain things that they can see that the daughter can't see. And if she knows you, loves you, and admires you and all the things, she should trust your judgment at the end of the day. Now, granted, she's got to live it and do it. But if you're really as tight with your daughter as everybody's saying they are, she should trust your judgment and say, hun, I think this is the way. It's your decision. And you know how to pivot and drive that. And you know your daughter the best of how to deliver that. And I'm going to leave it at that.
Yeah, so I'll say I've been working on it for a long time, since I'm talking about like a little girl, so where she would know what's important in life. She would know what to look for in a man. She would know what to appreciate, right? And not by saying, hey, this is what you look for in a man. This is about, hey, this is what I do. Like, and she's going to look for, just like we were saying way earlier, an example of what you are, right? She's not going to know, oh, smooth, that's out, right? But that's all legends, right? What she sees is what's important. Are you on your purpose? Do you take care of your family? Do you spend time with your family? Do you make sure that they are financially stable, right? So these are the important things. If she sees that as an example and I'm articulating that to her, then she's not going to settle for anything less. But when you're demanding this type of thing, you have to also bring tremendous value. That's why I also make sure that I tell her everything that she needs to have in place. You need to make sure that you are educated. You need to make sure that you are able to do everything, like be feminine. Make sure you're in the gym, making sure you're in shape. You know what I mean? Everything that men appreciate for a woman to be able to know how to cook, be soft, be feminine, in shape. These are things that she's going to offer. So she's going to have way more options than your average person would. So she can say, hey, listen, I can demand these things because I know what I'm bringing to the table. And most importantly, your chastity, right? Because that's a very important thing. When a man knows that you are not out there, you are not doing those type of things, that's greatly valued by most of us. So if you have everything in line, then you can command more. Just like me as a man, if I know I'm getting it, I'm getting to the money, and I'm in shape, I'm hitting the gym, I'm making sure I'm right, I know what I'm looking for in a woman. The more you bring to the table, the more that you can ask. As long as you understand the sexual marketplace, you're going to get the results of what you are. So your best bet, I tell women the same thing. Improve yourself. Make sure that you are prepared for life. Make sure that you know how to have conversations with people. Make sure you know how to show men respect. Make sure that you are soft and feminine. These are the things, right? And you have to know what characteristics to look for in a man. You have to look for men that would appreciate that, because not all men will appreciate that. They'll love it, but they'll just, use and abuse, and I'm out just the same. So me also instilling the game is going to make sure she's as much prepared for that as possible. I can't say what's going to happen. I can't say what she's ultimately going to pick, ultimately going to do, but I'm doing everything in my power to mitigate the risk and make sure that she's prepared to not only look for a good mate, but be one as well.
The reason I asked the question is because, go ahead.
Real fast. We're talking about steering conversations and whatnot, but at the end of the day, all women understand hypergamy, Shan. All women understand hypergamy, and all women understand that, like, hey, hon, this dude is doing this, but this dude can take you on vacation. This dude is just struggling to get a job. This dude can buy you a big ass house. You know, what kind of lifestyle do you want to live? Do you want the VIP lifestyle, or you want to sit in the nosebleeds? Like, women understand hypergamy. Women understand who's offering the best deal to me today. That's built into them. So they can see that, they can understand that, and they can feel that. Not saying that, oh, I got more feelings for the other dude. Yeah, like that's real too. Like, I'm not negating who she's in love with or whatever, but she can also see who's got the better deal, who's offering more in general, just in dating anybody.
Yeah, I think that
the thing is, while I understand that that's baked in the cake, and we've evolved with women having hypergamy, I think what's being conditioned out of them is for them to ignore that shit, and that's why they're making a lot of bad decisions.
Yeah.
So, you know, even though it's built into you, baby, hypergamy, equal or higher, and this is what you want, and so you know what's best for you, they're being told and sold, and they're buying the bullshit. And because they're and so they're seeing the flashy nigga with the
not if they drive his not if they drive his Mercedes. Not if she stayed at the house at his crib and she's like, ooh, this is
a lot of
unfortunately,
a lot of women are going against their better judgment and what's naturally built in, and they're going against nature, and they're going with what's societal norms and what's being sold to them.
Yeah, absolutely.
They all
and
have
one
daddies
thing that
like y'all though. Did they all
one
have
thing
daddies
I'll notice with women.
Now,
one thing I notice with women, I think most women, I will say, if they're not married and they're like well into their 30s, they've already passed. They already met their husband and screwed it up one way or another. Because on terms of hypergamy, they don't know how to turn their hypergamy off. That was one thing the women of old used to know how to do. I have been chosen. Now switch gears and focus. Right? That's the way it used to be. Listen, I before I screw this up and before I let anybody screw my head up, turn this hypergamy off. Let me be the best mom. Let me be the best wife. Right? They don't know how to do that anymore. So even though they understand hypergamy, it's almost as if they also practice a false version of it. So it's no longer, because remember they don't see past 2 hours. Everything is for excitement. Everything is for the thrill. They're not exercising foresight, which their fathers used to do for them. They'd be like, look at your life 20 years down the road. What do you want your children to be? Look at this house that you grew up in. Do you want this house for yourself? Like, you see what I'm saying? They don't listen to that anymore. They, like I think Shan said earlier, how do they feel? He makes me feel good, which usually means he's ringing that bell in between their legs, right? So screwed up.
All right. So for me, I had to think about this for a long time, because in theory, I think age gap dating works, right? Because the relationship that needs to exist between a man and a woman ideally would work out better in age gap, because he's already established, so she can look up to him, and that leads to the family not separating. I think it's a cutoff though for the age that I'm comfortable with for my child, and it also depends on the child, because I got two daughters with two very different personalities, right? So one might need a husband that damn near is a simp, right? Like he's gonna have to. No, I'm keep it real. I'm keep it real.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
I'm telling you, I'm watching these personalities, because I got a cousin in the same situation, right? She was like, "Oh, I could date a man like yourself." I'm like, "We would never work. I'll leave you before we made it into the Walmart parking lot. You got a mouth on you. You XYZ." Now, I'm definitely trying to train and have my daughter not do certain things, but people have personalities, right? And looking at the personality types, it really would depend, right? So one of my daughters, I think it might be like, they're young now. I got toddlers, but their personalities are shining through, right? One of them is bossy. She's opinionated. She want to try and tell, you know what I'm saying? She wants to say things and do things, and you could punish her, you could do all those things, but it's based in her, right? That is in her personality type. She is a type A personality, and I'm gonna work with her to make sure she knows how to manage that, but it is who she is. My older daughter is a lot more chill, right? So the one that's chill, I think age gap dating will work perfectly for her. The one that's not as chill, I don't know. I think we still got to figure this thing out, because she gonna be a handful. She's just gonna be a handful. She's gonna be a handful. I love them both to death, all my kids, but yeah.
So Trev's response is the one I resonate with in with the basis of my question when I'm asking, like, what do you think? But Trev was like, yo, or let me say from Shannon's point of view, I don't have a daughter. If I had a daughter, I would imagine what I would want by the time that she got to the age of serious dating, serious relationship, is that she wouldn't even want her classmate.
Yeah.
I would want it. I would try to indoctrinate her. I would try to coach her. I would try to guide her in a manner in which her standard, by the time that she would be even interested in dating, family, sex, and all that kind of stuff, is that she's looking for somebody that this nigga here in her econ class that can barely take the test wouldn't even be somebody that she would even want to be interested in.
Yeah.
She would want to be interested in somebody that is too much like her dad. Where I, as a father, showed her, talked to her, gave examples of what excellence would be in a man that she knows a guy her age couldn't provide. So shout out to Trev, because I think that would be the best for guys to do. And then they wouldn't have to necessarily worry about that feeling or how this guy made her feel and all this other kind of stuff, because he wouldn't even get an opportunity. Now she'll party. She gonna go to the frat party. She probably gonna join a sorority. She gonna hang out with her friends. She's gonna, go and do her thing. She may even drink some of that omega oil that B Madden bring to the party.
Hey, we both bros. Me and B Madden.
Yeah. But
there we go.
I would hope that, and this is no guarantee, because she might rebel and might, you never know how your children gonna turn out. I would hope that my tutelage as a father and my oversight over my family would make her standards in men be not necessarily high, but that she's such a good woman and she had a father who was such a good man, she would only be interested sexually, intellectually, in any capacity in a guy that is in that class. And then I don't think I would necessarily have to worry about what did you say, my man Pookie in the Benz? I wouldn't have to worry about that, because she'll know that he stole that Benz, or that he fucking he put it on his that's his auntie's Benz, or he extended himself on credit, because I would hope that I would prepare her to be able to watch out for all of that shit and see all of that stuff. Of course, your mileage may vary between people, but I would hope that would be the case. So by the time that she's ready to date, like Trev's daughter, she's like, oh yeah, you cool and we friends, but yeah, you're not really what I'm looking for. And I know would want those, and I know those guys are going to be attracted to her because they're going to know that she's my daughter and what kind of woman she actually is.
You right about that. You can never eliminate risks, right? But you can always mitigate them. And that's the most sensible, rational way to approach it. And the one word that you used that summed it up like hell was indoctrinate. That's perfect. That's pretty much what you want to do to your daughters, for real. For real. That's the second woman that you need to get on your program. Like for real, right after your wife. And but it's for the greater good. You want her to know what she should expect from a man and offer, and that's the best way to do it. Indoctrinate.
Yeah, I think my point is running back to critical thinking. Right, I'm just trying to teach them how to make the best decisions for the position they in. Because let's say you set your daughter up to have these extremely high standards, right, and she's not as attractive as she would need to be to get the type of man that fits into that criteria. Then what do you do?
Well, I mean,
it's in 2023.
Smart.
Yeah.
Y'all know
listen, let me tell you something. Listen, Marcus, let me tell you something. Unless she has a deformity, like you can make her attractive. The main thing that you can do is make sure that you give her a good diet to follow. You have to lead by example with that, and make sure that she trains. As simple as that. I got my daughter's running track right now. She'll be ready.
It's tough to really call my wife super ugly or unattractive. Even women, even women who are not that beautiful in the face, but if they got a great body, tend to have good outcomes in dating. The people that is going to have an issue with what we're talking about right now is going to be fat women. It's going to be women that's fat and ugly. It's going to be women with attitudes. It's going to be women that didn't have this father in their lives, and they're going to give pushback to the advice that I'm talking about because they didn't have anybody to prep them to be what we're talking about. So if you got a daughter that may not be physically attractive, you can make her physically attractive, but what are you feeding her? You know what Fruit Loops and all the bullshit that we give them and Pop Tarts and stuff that it all starts with the parents. It starts with us. I see parents and I see little girls and they already, and I'm like, God damn, she's already on. And they say if your children is already overweight or obese at age 5, it's a 75% chance she'll be fat for the rest of her life. It is very difficult to get somebody that has crossed the age of 5 and is already overweight for them to lose weight and keep it off for the rest of their life. But that goes back to the parenting side. So Marcus, your daughters, you got to start early to make sure that she's attractive. It's not about facial features and symmetry. I mean, that plays a part in it.
That's why they hate us so much. They fat.
If she is fit, and you as a parent is ensuring that she's fit by leading by example, by working out yourself. My kids, they see me jump on my Peloton, they see me working out, and they try to they see dad doing it, and it's like, well, shit, if dad's doing it, I guess so. But if you got a wife or you got a mother that don't ever work out, she don't walk nowhere, she never goes hiking, she don't swim, she don't do nothing, and then you got your daughter watching her, then here you on the track to having a daughter that's going to be extremely unattractive. And if she ain't got it in her face and she overweight or she's sloppy, we'll say, maybe she's skinny fat, then it's because I'm looking at the parents and say, well, how come you didn't, as my man Trev said, mitigate that issue 10 years ago when she was only 10 years old?
So,
yeah. 13, be mad and to answer your question, 13.
She's 13. So what I want to say with that is I agree with everything Shan said, everything you said, Trev. And I think, it's put myself in a position to where I've got to critically think, forward even more because, again, my daughter's 10. And the same with Marcus. Marcus, you've got toddlers, you got young kids, so, I'm just getting over her first menstrual, so thinking forward and thinking about dating and all that. I've thought about that to a degree. I thought about how I would want to blueprint it out, but you guys have definitely given me another perspective to really hone in and focus on, especially in indoctrination and everything as well, indoctrinating. Because that's what I mean. It's a pouring into your daughter. That's what I was getting at as well. But just keeping that mindset. Because Shan, you got sons. You already know, Trev, your daughter's a teenager already. So, mine will be there soon. So I'm already thinking of these things and planning this stuff out, to try to plan the best outcomes as possible for mine.
I got another question for y'all. Looking around at the current landscape of men or young men, what's the percentage of men y'all would be happy with dating your daughter that you see out here?
You said percentage?
Yeah, like is it 1 out of 10, 10 out of 10?
Less than a quarter.
I'd say yeah, maybe about 20%. 20%.
Less than a quarter.
And our daughter's doing right by only dating 20% of men. And they doing, we shouldn't be complaining if that's either we gotta make better men or they doing the right thing.
Well, Marcus, but also what you have to look at too is that what type of environment did your daughter grow up in?
Yeah.
What kind of lifestyle, what kind of neighborhood, what kind of household? If she's grown up in a 20% and above type of household, 10% and above, 5% and above, that's going to be her expectation. So she's only going to be looking, if you raise her a certain way, she's only going to be looking at guys in those type of brackets anyway. Because she's going to want to have a guy. She's going to want to have a guy that can mimic what her dad's already doing, or be above that.
Yeah, and
I spent a stint outside off the porch, right? And one of the main things I used to do was bring girls from the suburbs with real wealthy families and fathers onto the block with me, and they would be turned out just by being in a dangerous place.
Oh, it can happen. No, that's very real. That's very real. That definitely happens. And again, you control what you can control on
Let me
that
tell you
one.
something. This is
And there's guys that you play with, and there's guys that you seriously date and seriously consider for marriage as well too. They can come to the hood and play all day, but it's different when we're talking about marriage and having kids.
If I wouldn't have been responsible, I could have had a lot of kids by those women or married any. I just didn't want them for whatever
Exactly.
reason.
That's the culture now. That's why I say it's all somehow, some way, no matter what society is doing, there can be. I mean, we have a family issue, especially in the Black community. So when we talk about where are the kids going to come from that are able to uphold the institution of marriage, look at most of the 75% we're talking about. Look at the institution of marriage as disposable. So no, she will absolutely only be looking at men that really come from this institution. And if they do, I mean, of course they can be outliers, but they're going to have to prove to me that they take it seriously as we do in this family and this culture. So, I'm looking at it more so. It may come full circle because I'm looking at it now like things are so bad right now that kids who even didn't have an example will just know that they did not want the disaster that is their parents' lives to happen to them. So we might have that situation coming around with the Gen Alphas because this is going to be bad, right? So because I said it yesterday, it's over for the millennials, and that's not even playing around. It's over. If you're not married now and you like over 35, the chances of it happening, if you want it, slim, right? So yeah, hopefully the kids get a better glimpse. But I go to what Shan said. By the time my daughter is 18, I would need to have indoctrinated her to what her life is supposed to look like and how you achieve what your parents achieve, not just on a romantic level, on an economic level. All of this is encompassed. What do you want for your life? And it's not, I struggled and your mom struggled so we can make it here. So if you want to be the idiot that goes through the struggle, I'm going to give her what life looks like at point A and at point B. I will definitely be open to that age gap dating guy and make it clear to her this is what you're getting. Because one thing that I think we allow women to do is we allow them to make the wrong choice, then complain. You can make whatever choice you want for your life. Don't you ever come to my house complaining about that shit. You remember when you was like, I love him, daddy? Well, love his broke ass then. Don't talk to me about that.
What's your Marcus, I wanted to address that question you had about the about bringing back them chicks from the wealthy households, right? Yeah. This kind of goes back to what I was talking about earlier. Those fathers were not them guys. You know what I'm saying? They might have been wealthy, but they obviously didn't have no game. If they had the game, they could have put her on it, and you wouldn't have had a chance. You know what I'm saying? They wouldn't even went with you, man. I'm telling you, if they would have had a pops that had legit game and really was connected with his daughters, like just because they got money don't mean, see, a lot of people with money, here's what they do. They pay people to do everything. They pay people to clean the house. They pay people to watch their kids. I've never had any daycare. We parent. We consider that part of our duty. We do not, we don't delegate. We just we do it. We're hands on. Right. So that's the difference. A lot of people who get money like that, they on their purpose. They live in the hills some damn where. I understand it. I've dealt with a lot of them joints too. And I'm telling you, they pops ain't had no game or had a time for them. They ain't in their face. They're not really doing anything. They thinking that their money's going to do most of the talking. Say what?
No, I'm saying most of those girls are shielded too. Most of those girls were shielded too, Marcus. Like they were coddled, shielded, all that.
So it's both of those things. One, it's the time, because a lot of times you spend most of your time chasing or pursuing a career or a dream to make all the money. Your kids are left kind of wandering, right? So you got that. And then the other thing is, I don't think we ever really discussed this, but the need to fit in the Black culture creates suburban kids that find themselves trying to attach themselves to the city. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. Like, so
yeah.
You get what I'm talking about? Where they're trying to like validate themselves because they grew up in a predominant area that doesn't look like them, right? So they're trying to find a way to connect with the
connect to the hood and connect to a set or
yeah,
something like that
and
when
then that
they're from the
It's
dichotomy.
burbs or
intriguing.
So
whatever. Yeah.
it's a lot of nuances within this conversation that we could really like dive into. So in my opinion, the hardest women were non-materialistic ones because you couldn't impress them with rims. They wasn't trying to, they had a sense of self, right? They had a sense of self, an expectation, and a standard that was set. I don't know if that came from their father or that was innate in their personality, because a lot of the things that I am wasn't taught to me. It just was innately in me. So I'm trying to figure that out with my children, right? What is the thing that makes them tick? And is it even possible to fully shift them into whatever I want? You know what I mean? Like I can guide them, but there's certain things innate in each person's personality that got to come into effect. So I don't think it's a blanket solution. It's a lot of nuance in that. I don't know what.
There's no one
have
big
y'all
answer. There's no
experienced
one simple answer to
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, there's definitely hella nuance. But I
Yeah.
do kind of want to repeat that one thing. Like, I know you had, like, in your class, you just knew there was that one chick who you just was like, nah, not that one. She ain't. I know she ain't about it. That you just want to make your daughter that chick. The one that they know that's just not about it, not for fun, not for games. That's all you can do. Do your best to do. That's it. There's nothing else you can do with that. Just try your damnedest to kind of break that down, figure out, like, wait a minute. I had to kind of profile that type of situation. Like, wait, how did they get like that? Where the hell did they come from? What were their parents telling them? What were they not exposed to? What were they exposed to make them come out like that and get as close to it as you possibly can?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna sit down one day and really dissect some of the personality traits and what led them into like, because I think it's natural that women are attracted to danger at some point in their life, right? Especially younger. And I've seen scenarios where so the girls that might have fared well with some of the guys within their grade, they age gap dated, but they age gap dated for danger. And they ended up having a baby with somebody they should have never been dating. And if they was the same age, she wouldn't have dated. But the age gap worked in that way, where it allowed somebody that shouldn't have been able to get in to kind of manipulate. So it's a real nuanced conversation. It's a real nuanced conversation.
No, for sure. You're right. Trev, what you sipping on, man?
Water.
Oh, that's water.
Did you see how much I was downing all night? Dude, I was like,
hold on now. What
4 pints.
I thought you were drinking some type of like tequila Cristalino or something like that, because it was clear. I was like, whoa, he's hitting it. He's hitting it tonight.
Yo, I had alcohol poisoning, bro. I done filled this joint every time. Every time we went to video, I kind of filled this joint back up because I was really drinking. If this was alcohol, bro, this would have been a very interesting in a bad way show.
What are we celebrating, sir? Just let me know.
Nah, yeah. I used to throw it back like that though on live. Yeah, if you look back to some of my older shows, yeah, they got pretty wild because I would literally drink the liquor like that.
You got to pause that, Trey.
Gotcha.
At what age were y'all best age? What would you say was the age where you was like, all right, this is where if I was to pick the best time for my daughter or a woman to have dated me, what number was that for y'all?
It might have been about 30 for real, but it's different for every single man, right? Because I feel like my light came on late. But I mean, as far as what I would say I want for my daughter to meet somebody while they're still within that bracket, but you can't really determine that, right? It's too much nuance, bro.
I know, but he's asking about you specifically. It's different.
But for me, just for me,
30.
Huh?
You were your best at 30.
No, I'm still getting better. That's
not the question. The question is,
That's not the question.
At what age in your life were you the best for a woman?
Depends on what you want out of me. right? It depends on what you want out of me.
I know where Trev going with it. I know what Shan's saying.
No,
I know what Trev
it depends
going.
on what you wanted out of me, man. Right?
I
Like,
have some
no.
specificity. I have some specificity.
Yeah.
At what
Yeah.
age were you the best
Mhm.
to get with a woman that you would potentially marry and start a family and be the best type of husband or father you could be?
To start a family and all that, I would say I think I did it pretty well. I was 28, just about. So, or yeah. So
For me
yeah,
to
that's
answer
not
that
bad.
question. Oh, go ahead.
No,
Yeah,
I'm
for
good. I'm
me
good.
to answer that question, you said the best age to be
No,
married
the
or
best
for
age
to get.
that you had. What was the best age B. Madden has been
Mhm.
for that you'd be to a woman? To a woman, to what? At what age were you where a father would love to have you as his son-in-law? It's like, damn, this dude is he go to his wife and say, he's this guy that she just met, B. Madden, he's amazing. I've checked it. I've gone through him. I've gone through him with a fine-tooth comb. God damn, that is who we want our daughter to be with. What age were you at that a man would say that about you?
I mean, I'll say that now because I'm still. I mean, I'm better. I'm the best now. I'm the best now. I'm single. So
How old are you?
now?
How old are you?
I'm 36.
36.
So you think a 21-year-old should be with you at 36?
A 21-year-old?
Mm-hmm.
No, now you put an extra stimulant. I'm not dating a 21-year-old.
Well, I guess the answer would be any woman.
Conversation.
I'm not dating a 21. I personally wouldn't want to because I'm looking for certain things out of a wife. Yeah, you changing it up now.
Take it back. Stay within the realm there. Take it back.
Yeah, because what you're saying, because what you're asking him is, well, what would you want a 21? No, we're saying that what B. Madden is saying is that a 21-year-old, a 31-year-old, or a 41-year-old would love him right now. It doesn't matter which one.
Yes.
So that's what he's saying. He's the best for any woman right now, is what he's saying. Now, whether he wants her is a whole different question. He's the best. B. Madden is the best for a 21-year-old right now. He's better than he would have been at 26. He's 36 now.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the question.
Mm-hmm.
Me, the answer to that question, I would say when I was 38. When I was 38, I was the best in the mindset, in socioeconomics, where I was in life, my assets, the things that I had. I was the best for any woman at age 38. I'm 51 now, so we talking 13 years ago. 13 years ago was the best for a woman of any adult woman on the planet.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 38 for me.
What about you,
that's
JR?
how I feel. That's how I feel.
Say what?
What about you? What was the age?
Probably when I was about 36. Like I'm 57 now, so I'll be 57 this month.
Yeah,
Are you really
36,
57?
38, 37 for B.
Yeah.
Trev said what? 25? What did Trev say?
I said about
28.
28. Yeah. So
28.
I mean, but
You
again,
said
that does
28,
that's pushing 30.
38.
Yeah.
How
I
old are
mean,
you
but
now,
like I said,
Trev?
it depends on what I'm 44.
So Trev, you're saying at 28, you would have been the best for a woman and a family and everything that a father-in-law would want for his daughter and everything that a woman would want in a man at 28 than you were at 38.
It depends on what you want out of me. It's hard because, like, if you're talking about economically, I've done better. I'm doing better, right? Economically, I'm still growing, right? But other than that, I mean, I've had a good amount of wisdom to where a parent would appreciate me. They'd be like, okay, he knows what he's doing. He's got a head on his shoulders. I feel like I've been a good parent since then. Why did you say I'm trolling? Yeah, I think that I've been doing pretty, because that's when I kind of started. You know what I mean? That's when I started and I got everything together, and I feel like I handled it well. And I think if I would have started later, I couldn't have been as hip to certain things with my kids. I feel like I had enough youth to run around. I still do, but I think I did a good. I like the way things turned out with that.
All right.
I like the way
That's
things
what's up.
turned out. Economically, yeah, but you're still gonna grow no matter what. Every year you kind of expect to grow. So it's like you can't never really catch a sweet spot as long as you're comfortable. And I bought my first house at 28. So I was like, all right, well, I'm about ready to go ahead and, do what it do. And it was 4 children primarily.
We just had a show earlier where we was talking about women saying that they were good women, and here you are saying.
What I do?
You're delusional.
Yeah, I think that question really depends on each individual. But I would say pre-25 is not good for nobody. As men, like it's a rare case where it's a man that's pre-25 think about starting a family.
Agreed. But see, the argument. Agreed. But the argument that a lot of girl parents will say is, oh, I want them to grow together. I want them to build together. And that's okay. And I don't want her dating no old 33-year-old boy. No, my 22-year-old daughter don't need to be with no 34-year-old. Oh, that's gross. That's the argument that's out there. Whereas we're saying, okay, so you want struggle love. You want your daughter to be out here struggling. You want her to call. And you know what the honest part is? A lot of parents do. A lot of parents do want their child to depend on them and to call on them, because some parents want to be parents forever.
For life.
They want to be, they want to be able to control or to be able to influence. Let me remove control. They want to be able to influence their child's decisions well into their adulthood. And it's just because they can't let it go. Some parents don't want to say, okay, go fly or go be great. I've taught you everything I needed to teach you. Go be great. And so, if some parents realize that if my daughter is with somebody who's just as fucked up in society as she is, that they'll have to call on me and I'll tell them what kind of car to get, and I'll go with them and I'll co-sign for that Honda Accord, and I'll put my name on the lease for them for the first year, and they'll have to call on me. But that means that when I need help, they're going to come over here and take care of me. Some parents use their children as a retirement plan. It's like, I just want you to be, because when I get old, I need you to be there for me, to give me my insulin shots and all that other kind of shit. So a lot of parents is really selfish in raising their children. They don't look at it as, I want my children to be great. They look at it as, I need somebody who's going to be there for me as long as I possibly can, especially if it's a single parent and that doesn't have a husband or doesn't have a wife. In this case, we're going to obviously say doesn't have a husband. You got a mom. She's like, shit, we besties. Mom is besties with her daughter, and we party and we hanging out together because she wants to, she wants to recruit her daughter into the Golden Girls Club, because she don't want to be 70 and alone. She ain't got no man that's going to be there, but she got her daughter, and me and my daughter, we travel and shop together and do all that other extra shit. And that's because she set it up that way when her daughter was young.
Well, Shan, isn't that a saying though? Isn't there a saying with that mothers have their kids always come back to them? They always want the kids coming back because they always need something, but the fathers always give solutions to the problem so they can go ahead and go off and do what they need to do. They give them the answer, they give them a solution so they can feel empowered and go off into the world and have it figured out, versus moms always want them to come back and check in with them and come get something to eat, and what you need mama to do, what you need granny to do for you, just so they had that level of guilt over their head or some type of carrot dangling over their head. It's psychological.
I'm
right,
your mother.
It at all times.
Don't
and it's
talk
always,
to me like
they're
that.
always
I need
keeping
your
it in
help.
your head.
Yeah, man.
It's a level of guilt for sure. It's manipulative.
Yeah, mothers
It's
will put that
emotional
trip on you,
warfare.
man. They'll put that trip on you, especially for boys. Especially
It's
a lot
emotional
of young
warfare.
guys right now a lot of young men in their 30s, I would say young men 36 and younger right now do not realize that their mother is preparing him to be her husband in her old age. Her
son,
you know,
husband.
you see it every time. You know, it's
Yep.
and it plays out when you bought my mom a house and they put it on the gram. Got my mom's a car. I retired my mom's. It's almost like a flex for a boy or a man, a young man, to be able to say, I retired my mom, or my mom, she's my manager, or she's working for me, or I was able to get my mom with. Why? Because, but where's her husband? Her husband's supposed to get her that. But since her husband didn't do that, now here you are doing that. And a lot of young men, 30, I'd say 40 and under, is being prepared and groomed to be their mother's retirement plan. Don't even realize it. But it's coming. Come 2035, y'all gonna see what I'm talking about.
How important do you think it is to vet the parents so you don't be in a situation where you end up you know what I'm saying, taking on that responsibility as a step, or what is it? Not step. What is the word?
You're talking about the woman, the woman that you're dating, her parents?
In-law. Yeah.
Yeah, your parents.
Because
I
if
mean,
the mother is grooming the child to be, like, if you're a young lady, right, and the mother has groomed the son to be her son husband, and you enter in a relationship with her, you essentially will be living with the mom forever too.
Marcus, I'm thinking about the chicks who have mothers who are their besties. I'm thinking about that, because if you're dating the girl or you marrying her, and then the mom is like, my bestie's married now, like, we a package deal. So as soon as y'all have that first baby, guess who's moving in? Guess who's gonna be, they're taking care of the baby and helping out. What they do is they volunteer. The mother-in-law suite. And they volunteer to, I'm gonna be there to help. I'm gonna help change the diaper. I'm gonna do this and do that. Next thing you know, they're starting to clean up around the house. Next thing you know, they start cooking up stuff, and it's like, okay, she's over here trying to make her presence known. She's over here trying to, help out around the house to show that she has value. Nah, as a man, you gotta check that shit. And it's all about how you want your household to be ran. If y'all cool like that, that's y'all business. For me personally, I ain't rolling with that shit.
Marcus, no matter what, you have to vet the parents for so many different reasons. I even look at them just to see what type of genetics they have. Seriously, if you got obesity in your family, you got diabetes and all that, I don't want to mix with that. That's just me. No, for real. This is certain things you just have to take into consideration. Like, I'm not doing that. That's part of it. I want to see how your house is set up. I want to see if y'all are slobs. I want to see if y'all are actually have a cohesive unit. I need to go to your family reunion and see how y'all interact with each other. Do you know how to get along with people? You know what I mean? Do you have a lot of dysfunction? Is dysfunction normal for you? Is that your normal? These are the things you have to vet. Like, there's so many things there's no way that I would even consider taking a person seriously before I meet their parents, because that's going to say a lot about you. Are your parents still together? That's another thing. So, yeah, there's so many things you got to pay attention to, and it definitely starts with the parents.
Yeah, what's funny is, like, me
Mark,
and my wife.
Let me go ahead and get to the test, man. I know you. I'm just trying to get them off, man. AP Accountability Partner says, thank you for your openness and honesty and vulnerability. Sir, salute. Appreciate you. And then Lauren Mack had a question for the guys. Lauren, 499 serious questions. I think you guys kind of discussed it. As fathers, would you prefer to have a less attractive daughter so she receives less attention from you?
No, not at all.
No.
Hell no.
No.
Nope.
Hell no.
I mean,
it's gonna be harder to get her married off.
You know what? I want to.
You're gonna have her for life.
It's the kind of attraction. It's the kind of attraction.
So here go to my trick answer to this. When she's young, I would prefer for her to, because girls that don't be attractive or be fat when they're real young, and then they get older and become beautiful, they be the best personality women sometimes. So that'll even get her married quicker, and it'll prevent a lot of stuff that I might be worried about from other people while she growing up.
Look at Marcus. Thinking outside the box, Mark. Said she didn't. She wasn't beautiful, but she circled back around and became.
Yeah, it came bad.
Ugly duckling grew into a swan, huh?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. It's a lot of people.
The bigger she is, the bigger the diamond, and the bigger the diamond, the more comfortable she'll be living.
That's that glow up. That's that glow up is real.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's a lot of people I went to high school with, and they was highly sought out of. And now when you see them, it's like, ooh,
dope.
Damn, homie.
Oh,
you go back to them reunions, homie. Jay,
no,
I go back to those reunions, and you like, oh nah.
I went to some all class, but you can see it on social media. When you post, you look like, man, I remember when they had it together, and now just looking at them, it's like, man. Anyway, we appreciate you guys for tuning in to King Talk, man. We're going to get up out of here. Appreciate you, gentlemen. It's Trev. Stay drinking that water, man. You're gonna waking up all through the night, waking up.
Yo, my bladder pretty good, man. I might wake up and like be on a joint for like a couple minutes, but I make it through the night.
Okay.
We gonna come and see the body.
See you,
body, extra read about it. Say you want to beef about it. Find out nothing sweet about it. Flexing ain't discreet about it. Extra read about it. Say you want to beef about it. We gon' come and see about it. Flexing ain't discreet about it. Extra read about it. Say you want to beef about it. Find out nothing sweet about it. My life, trip cold winter. I'm eating good. I remember when we had no dinner. West side, east side, no side, both sides with me. Check, come and check, leaving flex season 12, come and get me. Yeah, the run around, high speed, chasing all the big bags. Bending corners, bending rules, bending necks, give the whiplash. Slide through hot night, warm butter storm, gutter drain lane. Young man, old habit, still let it, tryna let my chain hang. True story, new story, 2-story condo, B&B. 4 bath, 1 me, no key, like I did a B&E. Being me, so good, so hood, so not worried about it. 250,000 new views, old news, know you probably heard about it. Extra read about it, headline, word around town, flexing. Ballin' on my course, so I ain't worried about nobody out of bounds, stressing. Feeling like Hercules, murder these ain't a problem to me. Tried to tell the maid service don't come unless you bring it condoms to me. Flexing ain't discreet about it. Extra read about it. Say you wanna beef about it. We gon' come and see about it. Flexing ain't discreet about it. Extra read about it. Say you wanna beef about it. Find out nothing sweet about it. Moving, shaking, coming down to me. Stacking, racking, money, power flipping. Moving, shaking, coming down to me. Stacking, racking, money, power flipping. Moving, shaking, coming down to me. Stacking, racking, money, power flipping. Moving, shaking, coming down to me. Stacking.